I now convene the December 11th, 12th, 2025 meeting of the Commission on Teacher Credentialing. The Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act for teleconference meetings requires that commission members who are attending the meeting via teleconference to disclose if any other individuals 18 years of age or older are present in the room at the remote location, and the general nature of the member's relationship with any such individuals. Colleagues on Zoom, are there any disclosures?
I do not have any disclosure.
Neither do I. Good morning, everyone.
No disclosures, thank you.
Commissioners who are in Zoom must be visible at all times on camera. Please log off Zoom if you need to leave the meeting. Log in when you are ready to rejoin the meeting. If you experience broadband or internet connectivity problems while participating in the meeting, that would be remedied by joining without video. You must announce the reason you're not a parent when you turn off your camera. We will now take roll call. Recording Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Jeanette Brown. Catherine Williams Brown.
Here.
Jose Cardenas.
Present.
Juan Cruz. Christopher Davis.
Present.
Michael Delatorre.
Here.
Deborah Erickson. Anna Marie Francois. Present. Makita Grino-Shire.
Present.
Ira Lett.
Present.
Ruben Mencias.
Here.
Erin Powdery.
Present.
David Simmons. Richard Simpson.
Here.
Mike Torres.
Present.
Fang Yuzov.
Present.
We have quorum.
Thank you. Commissioner Mancias, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of course. Rise. Ready to begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
To the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome my commission as the new designee for the Superintendent of Public Instruction. Commissioner Torres serves as a director of the Curriculum Frameworks and Instructional Resources Division at the California Department of Education, where he offers strategic leadership to various critical curricular areas, including curriculum frameworks, instructional resources, greenhouse for specialized media and technology, and service to the State Board of Education, and the Instructional Quality Commission. With over 12 years of dedicated service at the CDE, Dr. Torres has spearheaded initiatives ranging from enhancing student accessibility on the California assessment system to overseeing special education monitoring in Los Angeles County. Furthermore, he has been appointed by the governor to serve on the State Rehabilitation Council, showcasing his commitment to fostering inclusive education practices. We have quite a few folks sitting around this table who share that. Prior to coming to the CDE, he taught secondary math and science. Dr. Torres earned his Doctorate of Education in Educational Leadership with a specialization in educational technology in 2019, reflecting his dedication to advancing educational methodologies in the digital age. Welcome. Would you like to say a word or two?
Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you all for the welcome to the commission. I know I have some very large shoes to fill, as former Deputy Superintendent Cotton is an amazing individual and a huge contributor, and I only hope that my experiences in education, as well as with the Instructional Quality Commission, will help to increase the collaboration between the department and the CTC. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Commissioner Torres. I'd like to remind everyone about the meeting procedures before we get to today's meeting. This meeting is being conducted at the commission office and via teleconference. We have commissioners participating from the commission building and also via Zoom. The public has the option to attend the general session of the meeting at the commission office or participate remotely through Zoom, webcast, or a U.S. toll-free phone. As you know, the meeting room technology includes built-in microphones, speakers, cameras, and monitors. Please note the ceiling microphones are always on and will pick up everything that is said at all times. So please be aware that anything that is said in this room will be captured on the archive recording of the meeting. Therefore, please keep side conversations to a minimum. if at all, while in this room. Members that are participating by Zoom or are connected to the Zoom meeting, please mute your laptop speakers, microphones, and mute yourselves on the Zoom video. Commissioners attending the meeting via Zoom that would like to speak, please use the raised hand. Because this is a hybrid meeting, we will need to conduct each vote by roll call. We would like to ask the members of the public who attend the meeting via Zoom and would like to make public comments to check their Zoom identification. Your Zoom identification is the name used when logging into the meeting. It is important that the Zoom identification is accurate so we can call on you appropriately during the. Next, we will cover the public comment procedures. The committee chair will announce when the public comment period is open during the presentation of the agenda item and ask for anyone who wishes to comment to notify the meeting moderator. Individuals who attend the meeting at the commission office will need to submit a request to address the commission card to the meeting moderator. The meeting moderator will notify the individual when it is their turn to speak. At that time, the individual will be able to approach the podium and share their. Individuals who join the meeting via the Zoom webcast will need to click on the raise hand icon to inform the meeting moderator that they would like to speak on the item. The moderator will notify the individual when it's their turn to speak by calling their Zoom ID. At that time, the individual will be prompted to unmute their microphone and will be able to share their comment. The Zoom ID name used by the members of the public to join the Zoom meeting will be displayed to the public when the individual provides public comment. Individuals who join the meeting through the U.S. toll-free number will need to press *9 on their phone to inform the meeting moderator that they would like to speak on the item. The moderator will notify the individual it is their turn to speak by calling their phone number and will allow them to unmute their telephone. At that time, the individual will be prompted to press *6 and will be able to share their comment. Please note, only a partial phone number will be displayed to the public when the individual provides public comment. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per speaker to speak on a particular agenda item. I ask that you keep your remarks brief and focused on the particular item you are speaking to. Please note this meeting is being recorded. After the meeting, the archived audio and video will be available via the Commission's website. Agenda item 1A is the approval of October 2025 minutes. We will now open for public comment. Public comments are limited. Hang on one second. Speakers are not working, so we're going to ask everyone to use your best teacher voice. We all know about that, right? So when you're making a comment, please make sure we're loud and clear. We will now open for public comment. Public comments are limited to 2 minutes. Recording secretary, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
Thank you. The public comment period for this item is now closed. Do I have a motion to approve the October 2025 commission meeting minutes?
So moved.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner
Simpson.
Simpson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. I have a motion by Commissioner Simpson and a second by Commissioner Davis. Any discussion? Will the recording secretary please call for the vote?
Jose Cardenas,
Aye.
Juan Cruz,
Aye.
Christopher Davis,
Aye.
Michael De La Torre,
Aye.
Makita Guno Shire,
Aye.
Ira Lit,
Aye.
Ruben Mencias,
Aye.
Richard Simpson,
Aye.
Mike Torres,
Abstain.
Long Yuzoff,
Hi.
carries.
Thank you. The next item is 1B, approval of the December 2025 agenda. As you know, we have an insert for agenda item 1C. Colleagues, as I've often said, I'd like to start the prep committee no later than 10. We have a lot on our docket this next 2 days, so please keep that in mind during our. We will now open for public comment. Public comments are limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Recording secretary, are there any public comments? Thank you. The public comment period for this item is now closed. I have a motion to approve the December 2025 commission meeting agenda.
So moved.
Commissioner Davis, thank you, Commissioner Macias. Is there any discussion? All right, will the recording secretary please call for the vote?
Jose Cardenas,
Aye.
Juan Cruz,
Aye.
Christopher Davis,
Aye.
Michael De La Torre,
Aye.
Peter Quino Shire,
Aye.
Raleigh,
Aye.
Mencius,
Aye.
Richard Simpson,
Aye.
Mike Torres,
Aye.
Wang Yusof,
Aye.
carries.
Thank you. Agenda item 1C is approval of the December 2025 calendar. We will now open for public comment. Public comments are limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Recording secretary, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
Thank you. The public comment period for this item is now closed. Commissioners, there are several policy-related items on the consent calendar in addition to our regular scheduled consent items. Do commissioners have questions about any of the policy items or other items they would like to consider in closed session?
I'd like to pull item 19(2) and item
24, 19 and 24.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
I'd like to recuse from item number 20, James D. Clark.
Commissioner Cardenas.
I'd like to pull item number 16, Sumin Cha. I'd like to recuse myself from item 28, Charles Epstrong, and number 87, Talbang.
Commissioner, David.
I'd like to recuse myself from item 1, Aguinaldo Edward, item 2, Arambula Davalos Jeanette, item 10, Galatayud Hortensia, item 14, Castaneda Hernan, item 21, Collins Cheryl, item 48, Molina Eduardo, item 62, Baiba Friday, item 73, Sanchez Bradley Enedina, and item 82, Taylor Raymond.
Any other commissioners? I have a couple. I'd like us to pull item number 47 Miller and item 51 Moore. Yes, Commissioner Conrad.
This is not about it. It's specifically on the classified staff grant. Can I? Yeah. So I'm curious about, I'm trying to track the page number, but it's table 5C. It indicates that there are about 7% of the recipients of the classified grant are private institutions from out of state. I'm curious if someone could give me a little bit of background for that. Are we supporting, are these CTC accredited institutions working in California? Who are these students who we're supporting with state funds who are from out of state?
So I'm not sure if you can hear that in the back, but the question is related to the classified grant report that is in the consent agenda. And if either Aaron or Kara or both could come to the table, maybe you can answer the question that Commissioner Papri is asking about candidates that are being supported through out-of-state institutions.
So that's table 5C. It's GS 1C51. Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
Our commission approved credential programs out of state. Like Western Governors, for example, is one of our commission approved. And so the students are California students. They're not from other states. Okay. That was what I was wondering, because I think we have some reciprocity with some bordering states. Is that no? Okay. So they're operating in California, serving us. California schools and districts. Yes, yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Palmer for that question.
Okay.
Questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve all remaining items on the consent calendar? Commissioner Cruz, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Simpson, thank you. Will the recording secretary please call for the vote?
Jose Cardenas,
Aye.
Juan Cruz, Christopher Davis,
Aye.
Michael De La Torre,
Aye.
Marquita Quino Shire,
Aye.
Ira Lit,
Aye.
and CS.
Aye.
Jesse Simpson.
Aye.
Mike Torres.
Aye.
Fang Yuzoff.
Aye.
Carries.
Thank you. Good morning again, colleagues. I'm going to follow the advice I always give you regarding keeping our remarks short. We have a lot to cover. And in recognition of the season of gratitude we are in, I'm going to forgo my critique regarding the impact of the administration, of the current administration, which it continues to have on PK-12 and higher education. Suffice it to say that the pattern of cruel and unjust actions continue to have a devastating impact on the students and educators that we serve. As we end our year together, I instead want to celebrate our collective work last year. I want to thank all of the commissioners for your thoughtful and caring work over this past year, and for the work that you do every day in your schools, offices, and community spaces to support California students and educators. I also want to express my gratitude for our colleagues who attend every meeting in person or remotely to provide testimony and input to our work. You are valued partners, and we look forward to our collaboration in the future. I also want to give my heartfelt thanks to the commission staff. I'm looking at you over there. And to our executive director, Dr. Mary Vixie Sandy. Mary, you and your team continue to work diligently, thoughtfully, and with care, all in service of our students and educators. And on behalf of all of us, I thank you. As a colleague reminded me recently, gratitude is often the foundation of strong relationships. It requires empathy, selflessness, and a belief that together we are stronger than any challenge before us. Please accept my heartfelt appreciation for each of you and my wishes for a restorative and joyful holiday season for you and your families. Executive Director Sandy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I would just like to begin by saying we're honored to have Senator Roger Nilo in our room today. He represents the Senate District 6, which includes Placer and Sacramento counties. He is formerly a member of the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors and a former state assembly member. And I'd like to invite Senator Nilo to come up in front of the flags with me. And I would also now like to invite Phyllis Jacobson to come forward. We did celebrate her retirement in August, but we had a resolution pending. And so we brought her back today to receive said resolution directly from her senator, Senator Nilo. So please.
Happy to do that. And as a state legislator, we get to do a lot of things, some enjoyable, some not so. But one of the most fun things to do is to present resolutions. It is always to a friendly, supportive, and welcoming audience, if maybe only for the recipient, nonetheless, friendly, supportive, and welcome. And it is my pleasure on behalf of myself and my friend Maggie Krell, who is the assembly representative of the area. Our areas overlap a little bit, to present this to Phyllis Jacobson. Now, I could read all of the whereases, and we might be done by lunchtime. So let me just skip down to the resolve by Assembly Member Maggie Krell and Senator Roger Nilo that Phyllis Jacobson be commended for her exemplary record of accomplishments in the field of education and extend sincere best wishes for a gratifying retirement. That is a very short sentence for what has been a very long, productive career. And I thank you for all you've done for the state of California.
I'd like to thank all of you who've made me what I am. Rather than talk about me, I'd rather talk about you. I wouldn't be me if it wasn't for all of you. You all believed in public education. You believed in giving people a chance. You believe in supporting what we know to be the best for our teachers and our students.
You've been innovative. The legislature individually and collectively as a body has supported all of this work that's been so innovative and has led the rest of the country. And not only that, but you took a chance on me. It did take me 1.5 years to convince you to hire me. Wasn't it?
I'd have done it.
Having done that, I was determined to prove my own gratitude and doing the best work that I could for everyone here. And it was a very, very, very difficult decision to retire. But yeah, you never know. I might be back.
Retirement is a hard thing. I haven't been able to do that.
Transitional phase, let's
Yes,
just
it
say.
did. Yes, it did.
Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you. Grab one.
Smile. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you coming back. So
Thank you.
really, thank you for the history. Really nice to meet you.
Find someplace to put those.
That concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Oh, okay.
How lovely to celebrate Phyllis again. How many commissioners have items to report? Commissioner Brown.
I'm going to try to keep it short, but this one, I have to tell you, it's so exciting to be here today, and I want to just appreciate and offer and gratitude for all the support that the commission has given to both the community colleges and my work here as the commissioner. I was able, with the help of what is an amazing staff here, to pull in so many diverse and broad voices into the work as we build early childhood education into the public education system, and the governor with the master plan. I was able to connect with, we had someone in our child development permit work group from the California Community College Chancellor's Office, Amy Smith, and she's an executive for strategic initiatives. And with her connections, I was able to get a hold of Cherie 14, who is the Dean of Workforce and Economic Development Division. And we just had a great meeting in which she then gave me 3 things to bring to the commission today, of what the community colleges are doing system. One is streamlining and expanding the pathways, co-designing the and launching the pathways for advancing visionary education with the CSUs. So that's a great partnership. Advocating for dual enrollment, really improving program access and credit mobility for students at all 4 of our institutions of higher education. So expanding credit for prior learning, but also looking at how to advance the bachelor's programs that are starting to be offered at the community colleges, and facilitating an apprenticeship work, which will be, that initiative will really help get people who want to be teachers in and working in classrooms sooner. A lot of you know about the apprenticeship. And then finally, trying to enhance the data infrastructure for intersegmental collaboration. So I just wanted to say those things on behalf of the community college chancellor's office, and I'm glad to be there, being with them and being able to bring those issues here to the commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown.
Was that too much?
Lovely. Trying to keep it was just right, as Goldilocks would say. The other commissioners?
Thank you so much. I do have a few updates to share with all of you regarding California Department of Education initiative on behalf of State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurmond. We have several professional learning opportunities that might be of interest to you commissioners. We're pleased to announce that the application for the National Board for the Professional Teaching Standards Subsidy Program has been available since November 2025, and that program provides $300 to become national board certified for educators teaching at high school priority schools. And as of last week, we received 743 applications for that. In addition to that, the incentive program will open shortly afterwards that provides incentive grants up to $25,000 paid in $5,000 installments, pretty much to any teacher who has attained national board certification and commits to teaching in these high priority schools 5 years. Another amazing professional learning opportunity is the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant that provides funding to county offices of education, school districts, charter schools, and state special schools by professional learning for teachers, administrators, and paraprofessionals to promote educator equity, quality, and effectiveness. The fourth and final year of reporting was 2025, and LEAs will provide a final report on or before September 30th of 2026. So far, LEAs have spent just under $1.1 billion of the $1.5 billion that were allocated to provide that professional learning. Another professional learning opportunity is the 21st Century California School Leadership Academy that provides high quality, equity-centered professional learning for educational leaders of schools and districts in California that receive Title II funds. The 21st CSLA program was launched in 2020 during the beginning of the pandemic, and since its implementation, over 15,300 leaders have been served. Moreover, more than 600 leaders have been receiving free coaching through this program. And the last professional learning opportunity is that the California State Board of Education will approve, and the CD will post by September of next year, criteria and guidance for selecting or developing in-service professional development programs for effective means of teaching literacy in transitional kindergarten through grade 5. Ultimately, a list of approved PD programs meeting this criteria will also be published, and public input to inform that criteria and guidance is currently being considered. And I have a couple of brief updates from the Instructional Quality Commission. They actually had just met last week. They're the advisory body to the State Board of Education on curriculum instruction. Last week, they approved the Personal Finance Curriculum Guide with edits that were received from a public comment period. And those edits are currently in process, and the draft will be considered by the State Board of Education at their March meeting in order to prepare LEAs for the implementation of the personal finance high school graduation requirement. And lastly, we're knee deep in an English language arts, English language development adoption. Instructional material reviewers were solicited over the course of about 3 months this past year, and reviewers were then recommended to the Instructional Quality Commission last week, and they were approved. Over 250 members of the public and educators have volunteered to spend their summer reviewing these amazing instructional material programs. And so we're very pleased with that. The State Board of Education will consider those as well as potential facilitators of review panels at their meeting in January. Those are all the updates I have. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Commissioner Torres.
The commissioner? Yes, I'm sorry, Commissioner Susan.
Yes, adding to what Commissioner Torres just mentioned, Saturday was certification day for National Board, and I'm happy to report that so far, because teachers can report voluntarily their certification results, we do have 506 teachers who have achieved National Board certification in California. Many of them due to the subsidy, thankfully, and as you know, it's voluntary to release their results. So I'm looking forward to many more teachers having achieved, but I'm very excited for the students, California. We know that they benefit mostly from this achievement. I'm happy to report that.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Davis.
Good morning, everyone. I also want to echo my colleagues in congratulating all of our National Board certified teachers that have just certified this past Saturday. Last week's National Board score release brought incredible news for our program at Stanford. Nearly 90% of our BIPOC cohort participants earned their certification this time. And that's the highest level we've seen in our program since its inception 5 years ago. And this is our final year of said program because our funding will be diminished at the end of this national board session year. But we do have some other funding sources that we're going to be tapping into to make sure that the teachers that are in the pipeline currently are continue to be supported and that they have the affinity space that we started at Stanford. This achievement represents not only the hard work, talent, and resilience of these educators, but also the power of intentional support that we are providing there. And those structures are designed to uplift teachers of color, but we do work with all teachers in general in our program. So we do see a high level of success at Stanford in general. Their success strengthens our classrooms, enriches our students' learning experiences, and moves us closer to a more equitable, representative educator workforce. And that's what we've all been talking about around this table since I've been on the mission. Thank you to all the candidates for their persistence. And for those who have yet to certify, we will continue to work together to get you there. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and there will be some folks in our audience today whose ears will be burning out there. I had the pleasure of attending the inaugural event for for Los Angeles Unified School District last weekend. And they celebrated that major milestone with the graduation of 59 students from their commission approved program. And it was a very exciting event. This first two cohorts technically represents a historic investment in school health and student well-being. The event highlighted the critical role of school nurses and the role that they play in ensuring student safety, health access, and academic success. If you recall, LAUSD has an ambitious mission to staff every school in the district with its own school nurse. This special recognition was given because of the leadership of Dr. Frank Serrato, Dr. Pernin, and Dr. Nava, who are in our audience today. And I want to say thank you to them for championing, sorry, it's that word, it's a tongue twister, the creation of the program, and to the ICAP leadership team for their dedicated work in launching the program. I was able to deliver a keynote address blending professional insight with deeply personal testimony. And I'm telling you, I told a story that I've never told before. So I hope that there's video evidence of this at some point because I'm still blushing about that. But I talked about the life-changing support that I received from school nurses and the impact that those school nurses had on my physical and emotional well-being. And I delivered that message with hope that the folks who are in the pipeline know that they will be making the same exact difference in thousands of young children's lives. In my story, I highlighted 4 core messages, and I'll keep this brief. First, trust nurses. They are compassionate, confidential pillars of support. Number 2, strength includes acknowledging fear. Number 3, school is often the safest place for students. And number 4, true healing requires addressing problems and not hiding them. The ceremony reinforced that school nurses are essential educators who safeguard student health, support IEPs and 504 plans, manage chronic conditions, and remove health-related barriers to achievement. The graduating class, or the culminating class, I should say, of 2025 is now prepared to serve thousands of students across the district. And this event marks a significant step forward for school health services in LAUSD and affirms the district's commitment to student wellness, equity, and whole child support. The other thing that was underscored in this session, and I think one of the more important parts of it, is the concept of emotional self-care. Several of the program completers engaged in conversations with me after my remarks about the importance of taking care of their own stressors and their physical health so that they're able to be fully present for their students. And I hope the social emotional support for our newest colleagues in LAUSD continues. Those are my remarks. Thank you.
Commissioner Davis, thank you for looking up the please look at our colleagues in the unified. Other commissioners, yes, Commissioner Cardenas.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, members of the community, also fellow commissioners and staff. Thank you for being here, all of you online as well. Just wanted to talk a little bit about an event that I attended. It's called Youth Mental Health Day Awareness. It's where several of our students from our county come together and they learn about different career aspects, but they also go out to their local schools and help enhance mental health on their campuses. And for this particular event, it was a men's mental health panel. And this panel varied from therapists to computer science and people who do podcasting. And the students were able to ask all these questions about just various mental health concerns. And it was really to break the stigma and build community. Because oftentimes we see people and we don't know what they're going through. And so our students were able to ask these questions for the panelists. And the reason this was important is because you don't see a lot of men in mental health or also in education. So they wanted to uplift that and wanted to uplift the work that they were doing. And so the students participated in that. But at the end of the day, I think I learned a lot about just the importance of fostering that continued conversation about ending stigma. And so our students continue to elevate that amongst their peers, but also amongst the adults. And we often think that we're doing the work for our students, but I think sometimes we also, the work is being done for ourselves, for our uplifting, right? So we can continue to do this work. And so I was able to participate in that. And then on another note, I was able to participate on a career day, which when they asked me to just like, so you want me to go with a respiratory therapist, someone who's a police officer? Like, yes, we want you to tell us about school counseling. It was at an elementary school site. At the elementary school site, I had little kindergartners asking me, what do I do? Right. And so, of course, I love elementary school. And, you know, we started coloring and talk about jobs and things that they like to do. I had sand trays. And then I had all the way up to the 8th graders. They asked me about my job and if, you know, if I really liked it. And said, what did I like the most about my job? And I said, well, every day is different. Right. And I would talk a lot with my hands. And if you know the kids, I was doing this and they started laughing. So I had to say something. So I was like, I need to stop doing that. So, but it was funny because they were paying attention. And here I am again with my hands. But they asked some really unique questions about what I enjoyed about my job. And for me, it's an opportunity to engage with young kids and tell them about how important education is and how we can continue to foster bringing people into this field of education and whatever other field they want to go into. But I think sometimes we don't pump ourselves up of the work that we try to do to help other careers and other industries. But it was a great opportunity for myself. I think I was so happy that day. It was raining and I was excited. But students asking all these questions about college and career and opportunities, and they got to engage with a lot of other folks, but also got to share about the field of school counseling and mental health and all the other aspects. And then the other thing too that I just attended yesterday was, I don't know if you've ever heard of We Will Workforce. We Will Workforce. I'm part of a panel in the county, and we talk about healthcare industry and also education industry, how to bring people into both fields. And like Commissioner Davis had talked about bringing in school nurses, bringing people into the health profession. So there's a lot of work that goes into going into the younger grades. I keep emphasizing how we need to promote this at really early age. I know people kind of laugh at me with, you know, TK, preschool, but it's really important because they get to see, they get to dream big. And I think as our kids get older, sometimes their dreams get a little diminished when we got to continue to show them the different pathways that exist. And so that for us has been a work that we've been engaging in as far as our entire region of the Central Valley, because it is the entire region. And so that is something that we've been working on the healthcare industry, but also on education pathways. And part of that is also the CCGI, which is a California College Guidance Initiative, which is really helping students streamline into colleges. And so that work is, if you've seen recently, it's coming in January 2026, where it'll be streamlined, where students will get direct access into getting into colleges and universities at the CSU system. So we're really excited about that. I know we're following the model of the Riverside County Office of Education, who piloted that program, but we're looking at that across the state where our students can, at a click of a button, be directly admitted into a college or university. So that's an exciting field. And the last thing I want to say is a little bit on a sadder note. You might have heard a little bit of a tragedy that happened down in Stockton, not just in Stockton, but also in the entire Central Valley, because we did have loss of life of our students affected family members. Just the entire community was impacted. And it is a hard thing that a lot of our educators have had experience, our families have had experience, especially during the holiday season, where we're very happy and grateful, but some people have lost their children. And so for us, the mental health field that includes school nurses, we really have had to provide that support to our families, to our students directly, but also to our staff, right? Because our staff really feel the impact of how they're connected with our students. But the thing that I want to uplift is the outpouring of community support that has come not just from the region, but also across the state and across the nation. I think it's been beautiful. People reaching out, offering their services, looking to see how they can support the community, because this didn't just impact one school, one family. It impacted our entire region. And so I know there's families, internationally that heard this news and have been impacted. And so with that said, just going along the talking about gratitude, being thankful of the opportunities that we have, being at this table, being in our communities, in our different schools, but just with each other as well. We have to continue to uplift this work. This work is really important. Our kids need to feel safe. They need to feel welcome, supported. And you do that, believe it or not, the support that you give to educators as they go through their careers and they continue to flourish. I just want to say thank you to that. And just for all the families, my condolences. And also just thank you for all the support that you've given the Stockton community and to Central Valley.
Thank you, Commissioner Cardenas. Commissioner Francois.
Good morning, everyone. As always, it's lovely to see y'all. And every time I come into the space, I get this surge of energy because I know good stuff is about to happen. So in the spirit of the season of gratitude, I want to take a few moments to celebrate my colleagues in the UC system and all of the work that we do as individuals and collectively to support educator work development, and share some of the highlights. Governor Shire, how many minutes do I have?
I'm not giving it time. It's the right amount.
So a brief snapshot of the work happening across the University of California School Preparation Program. At a moment when California is navigating fiscal uncertainty, intensifying culture wars, attacks on public education, and shifting federal priorities around higher education and educator pipeline, the UC system is doubling down on its public vision. Our campuses are not retreating, and in fact, we're innovating, aligning with community need, and engaging policy with intention. And I will say that in our educator preparation ecosystem, this policy engagement piece of our work is really beginning to come to fruition in ways that has not happened in the past. We are taking our lead from our CSU colleagues, and we are going for it. So first, statewide policy engagement is stronger than ever. At UCOP, we're working closely with the governor's office, the legislature, and partner system to protect and accelerate preparation pathways that California families not only rely on, but that they need to care for their families, but also to advance democracy and justice across our state and to be models for our nation. UCOP's Educator Programs Office continues to actively engage in conversations. Specifically, our focus is on residency funding, teacher apprenticeship models, and inclusive education, which shows up in our partnership with the CSU in the UC CSU collaborative. The neuroscience, diversity, and learning. Thank you, Aubrey. Our policy briefs on bilingual teacher development, community school alignment, and mental health workforce expansion are being, I'm going to say, used in hearings and agency work groups across the state. And we're partnering with the CSU and community colleges to ensure that proposed federal changes to grants that support educator workforce development, financial aid, and Title II reporting do not harm students most likely to serve in high-need school. And so across the individual UC campuses, the momentum is real. And this is my celebration of the UC campus, because I'm going to call out each and every one of them, which I can do, Shireen, because there's only 8 of us.
15 of us, so we can do this.
UC Davis is deepening its rural teacher pipeline partnerships and leading the state's ongoing work on bilingual and dual immersion educator preparation. UCLA is scaling community engaged residencies, integrating inclusive education competencies across programs, and launching new research practice policy networks through our research centers, including the Center for the Transformation of Schools, the UCLA Center for Community Schooling, and the Pritzker Center for Strengthening Families and Community. UC Irvine and UC Santa Cruz remain anchors in research to practice translation, particularly in inclusive education, K-12 literacy, and community school design. UC Riverside is advancing a grow your own teacher and counselor preparation model with Inland Empire District, showing early evidence of retention and diversity increases. And UC Santa Barbara is expanding its teacher mental health readiness modules, now being shared statewide as a model for integrating whole child framework into educator prep. And finally, UC San Diego and UCLA continue to lead on computational thinking and digital literacy integration, an area of increasing urgency as federal conversations around AI, misinformation, and digital safety intensify. So across all our campuses, through lines are clear. We're preparing educators who can lead, teach, and support young people in a politically contested environment. We're strengthening inclusive education, bilingual pathways, and school-based mental health preparation. We're building tight bridges between educator preparation, community schools, and the state's equity agenda. And we are showing up in policy spaces with data, the courage, and with a unified commitment to California public schools. So despite the fiscal headwinds and the noise, and there's a lot of noise out there in both the state and federal level, the UC system is not simply weathering this moment as so many of our universities across this country are doing. We're shaping the future of educator preparation in California boldly. So I'm grateful to represent this community on the commission, and I stand alongside you as we ensure every California student has the prepared, supported, and inspired educators that they deserve. And finally, an invitation. On Friday, January 30th, from 10:30 to 11:30, UCLA is hosting a call to conversation titled Leaders in Public Education, Partnering for the Future of LA. Shout out to my LAUSD folks back there. I see you, Marco and Pat. It is going to be a thought-provoking discussion between UCLA Chancellor Julio Frank and the LA Unified School District Superintendent, Alberto M. Carvalho. It will be moderated by our Dean in the UCLA School of Education and Information Studies, Dr. Tina Christie. And we write in the advertisement, public higher education and K-12 institutions are facing their greatest set of challenges in recent memory, and UCLA and LAUSD must confront these challenges. Please join us as UCLA and LAUSD leaders discuss pressing issues in education and a commitment to translating community into institutional action. I invite you all to be there. It's at the Horace Mann UCLA Community School in South LA. I think this kind of collaboration between segments, including our LEAs, is critical at this moment. It always has been, but the current moment forces us to lean forward. And this will be a wonderful example as we go into the new year. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner Francois, for that uplifting report and for all the work that you and your colleagues do in the UC system. Anyone online? Any liaisons? Yes.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome, Commissioner Torres. It's nice to see you. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes, all right. I have a few updates from the November State Board meeting. The board heard several items on assessment, including a presentation by Tony Alpert, not Tony Albert, Executive Director of the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium on the Mathematics Performance Task Pilot. Excuse me. Like our teachers, our students are increasingly being assessed with performance tasks to better measure learning. Smarter Balance is collecting student feedback to enhance the quality and the clarity of the tasks, and revised versions of the micropilot items and tasks will be included in a spring 2027 embedded field test. The board approved literacy professional development criteria, which the CDE will use to review literacy professional development programs for SBE approval over the next 9 months. The 2025 Budget Act allocated $200 million for LEAs to support evidence-based literacy professional learning for educators who have not been prepared or assessed against the Commission's new TPEs in literacy. Finally, the board heard an inspiring item on community schools, which shared that the first year of implementation for Cohort 1 schools has dramatic impacts on attendance and student achievement. Community schools gather staff, families, and the broader community to meet students' holistic needs. The report from the Learning Policy Institute found that community schools demonstrated a meaningful reduction in chronic absenteeism, on average 30% greater than comparison schools. Community schools demonstrated an average of 15% reduction in suspension rates compared to similar schools. Students showed significant academic growth equivalent to approximately 43 additional days of learning in mathematics and 36 additional days in English language arts. These improvements were greatest for Black students, English learners, and socioeconomically disadvantaged student groups. For example, Black students demonstrated growth equivalent to 130 additional learning days in mathematics and 151 days in ELA. Anecdotally, we also hear that community schools implementation increases teacher retention, though that hasn't yet formally been studied for our California Community Schools program. However, as a classroom educator, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of educators gathering with students and families to hear and address student needs. Even today, we see how powerful it is when we are all working together to achieve the same goals: student growth and achievement, and our own professional learning. So I'm thrilled that our state is investing and centering student well-being, which links to a strong teacher workforce and nearly 2,500 of our highest need schools. Thank you very much. That concludes my report.
Liaison Morrison.
So I just want to say thank you for the warm welcome. Definitely getting into this role has been a transformative experience. I would say I was pretty as a student teacher candidate in my first even month to all the background work that really goes into supporting us as educators and as student leaders in our community. So just thank you for having me here. Thank you for letting me be a voice of student teachers and candidates and credential candidates. But what I'm really big on is just student self-efficacy. As a post-bachelorette student, I kind of get imposter syndrome a little bit. It's a little weird being the teacher up in the classroom. So with that said, I'm not the only one though. My peers and colleagues do experience that as well. With that though, I did want to represent their voice here today. So I did conduct a poll and I was successfully able to connect with 81 other students in the CSU system. Kind of ranging from candidate preparedness, accessibility, and understanding of CTC roles and their experience. So what I want to highlight is that out of these 81 candidates, 84% were aware of what the CTC was and their role in their education. However, only 47% felt supported by the CTC in their educational journey. I do want to end on a good note, however, 87% of the candidates did feel prepared and established enough to complete their programs and credentials. So again, I just want to highlight those voices and thank you for having me here.
Thank you. Appreciate that report. And it's critical that you are the voice of our candidates and programs. So thank you for sharing what your colleagues are thinking. All right, colleagues, anything else? Anyone else? Look at that. 9:57. Good job.
I now recess the general session and move to the Educator Preparation Committee. Commissioner, please.
Morning. I would like to call the December 2025 meeting of the Educator Preparation Committee to order. We have 5 items on the agenda. All items are scheduled for today. First item for today is 2A, proposed regulatory amendments to Title V of the California Code of Regulations, Child Development Permit. This item is being presented by Renee Marshall, Keeler, with information action item. Ms. Keeler, will you please begin?
Good morning, commissioners. I'm Debbie Keeler, a consultant with the Division on Standards, Accreditation, and Workforce Development. It's a privilege to be here with you today. Agenda item 2A presents the proposed regulatory amendments to Title V of the California Code of Regulations pertaining to the Child Development Permit. We'll now hand it over to our administrator, Renee Marshall.
Good morning, commissioners. The proposed levels of the Child Development Permit Matrix were approved in the February 2025 Commission meeting and continue to reflect a career ladder and lattice for early childhood educators early childhood educators that also paves the way for interested permit holders to continue their path to a teaching credential. Consistent with the National Association for the Education of Education of Young Children, NAEYC licensure framework, the Child Development Permit Work Group recommended that the permit matrix include 3 educator levels: Early Childhood Educator 1, 2, and 3, which is ECE 1, 2, and 3. In addition, they also had 2 administrator levels: Early Childhood Administrator 1 and 2, ECA 1 and 2. Each of these with specific scopes of practice and preparation requirements serving children ages 0 through 8. Educators at every level are expected to master the standards and competencies for their role, creating a clear pathway for effective practice, preparation program design, licensure requirements, professional development, and career advancement. Importantly, the revised structure retains and honors the expertise of the existing workforce, including those in Head Start, California State preschool programs, private centers, and family child care. Such as coursework and classroom practicum experience, in addition to recognition of on-the-job experience, competency-based assessment, and clear alternative pathways. Strategies allow experienced educators to demonstrate mastery without repeating content they have already mastered in practice. The revised Child Development Permit Matrix reflects a major step forward in meeting the goal of a clear, coherent, and inclusive permit structure. It responds to nearly 3 decades of evolution in the early childhood field and acknowledges the increased complexity of children's developmental needs, the importance of inclusive and equitable practices, and the growing diversity of California's early childhood educator population. With that, I'll hand it to Dr. Keeler.
The proposed amendments remove the outdated child development permit levels and replace them with the new child development permit matrix levels. The updated child development matrix introduces clearly defined and progressive permit levels aligned with field roles and responsibilities from entry-level assistants to administrators. Performance expectations and competency-based approaches that prioritize demonstrated educator skills and readiness. Flexibility for experienced educators to advance through alternative routes. Revisions to the definitions were also added to clarify and make specific new terms that were added. Revised language to the application process for consistency with existing regulatory language referencing application requirements. After additional public input, it has been suggested to include two non-substantive changes to the regulation that include the following to what was presented in the agenda item. First of all, the definition of the early childhood education, child development coursework, definition D in the Appendix A, revise the current reference from an Associates of Arts degree to an associate's degree to be consistent throughout the document. The second area is to revise the definition K to replace from under the direction, oversight of a qualified supervisor or mentor to a person approved by a regionally accredited institution of higher education. The CDP structure aligns with the recommended CDP revised performance expectations to be presented today and the California Formative Teaching Performance Assessment model, reinforcing high standards of preparation and practice. We also recognize at the same time it supports diverse entry points, including degree-bearing programs, assuring access for new and continuing educators across varied settings and backgrounds. By aligning permit requirements with educator competencies, licensure systems, and California's vision for quality and access, the revised CDP matrix serves as a strategic lever for system-wide quality improvements. It directly supports career mobility, coherence across licensing and preparation systems, increased supply of qualified educators for universal pre-kindergarten, ongoing professional learning, and permit renewal through meaningful, accessible pathways. Ultimately, the revised CDP is not just a permit structure, it's a workforce development framework that positions early educators to succeed and all children to thrive. So staff recommends approval of the proposed amendments to Title V of the CCR as noted in Appendix A, with the additions that were mentioned just a moment ago. As it clarifies, the revised levels of the Child Development Permit Matrix, including ECE 1 through 3 educator levels and ECA administrator levels 1 and 2. It also provides a transition pathway to later obtaining a PK3 ECE specialist instruction credential. If approved by the Commission, staff will begin the 45-day public comment period, and if no credible or objectionable comments are submitted during that period, staff is recommending that the Commission authorizes staff to submit the final statement of reason to the Office of Administrative Law, including making non-substantive changes to the regulation texts that may be necessary, but do not alter the requirements, rights, responsibilities, or conditions or prescriptions contained in the original text without approval or consideration. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to any questions.
Thank you. We will now open for public comment. There are members of the public that would like to make a comment. Notify the meeting moderator by submitting a request card or by clicking on the raise hand icon if participating through Zoom or pressing *9 by phone. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Recording secretary, are there any public comments?
Sandra Mo, please unmute your microphone and share your comment.
Good morning. I'm Sandra Moe, and I've been in the field of early childhood education for 50 years. And I started out as a family child care provider, business owner, became a teacher and administrator for private programs and at institutes of higher learning. And so today I've been focusing on that fieldwork experience aspect for 30 years of my profession. And so I was very concerned about the changes they wanted to make to Title V requirements because there is a profound first birth to 8. I'm excited about the promise of the pre-K through third grade credential, but there's a profound difference between children 3 to 5 and children 6 to 8, even though they're in the early childhood field. So I saw that there was too much alignment with the multiple subject teaching credential. So I'm really pleased, even though they're changing the historic aspect of Title V's requirement for supervised fieldwork, that they're changing it back to being under the supervision of institution of higher learning supervisors, because I've been doing that for 30 years. And I think that's a better way of continuing instruction that we're providing and supervising their experience to help them see pros and cons of approaches. But I have one more concern that I haven't raised before because I had other concerns, is the CDA substitute part of this. If you look at CDA, I was an accreditor for that. The training is only 120 hours, whereas 12 units would be 684, and there's no supervision in the training, 480. So I would encourage getting rid of that. And I appreciate the opportunity to voice my opinion. Thank you.
Ava Mark.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share. My name is Maeva Mark, and I'm with Cadango, and we are a child care provider in the Bay Area. We offer early Head Start, general child care, state preschool, and we also have a family child care home educator network where we have about 80 providers now, a part of our network. And so we're really grateful for this work that Deborah, Renee has been working on. Really grateful for the collaboration and field engagement that they've been doing. And we just want to continue to support that we continue to work with the field. And so I just wanted to provide my gratitude and just continued collaboration with the field. Thank you.
There are no other requests for public.
The public comment period for this item is now closed. Do commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? Commissioner Francois.
First of all, I always enjoy hearing about the child development permit work. It's an area that I'm not familiar with. And I've learned so much over the years. And so this question is about my own learning at this point, not a comment about the report, which is always so wonderful. So when I read the definition, if I read B, it says, well, if I read A, my understanding is there's two kind of areas covered within the child development permits. There's the early learning child development programs, and there's the child care and development program. And all of those, the programs that serve the young children fall into two of those categories. Then when I go to B and C, I see them defined. And one, child care and development program, just the way that it's written in the sentence case, to me, says that it's kind of a category of program, but it's not a particular program. Whereas C, because it's all capitalized, it's in the title case, early learning child development program, that is a specific program, and then everything else falls under child care and development program. Am I reading this correctly?
So the definition, the B definition of child care and development is has been a definition that's been a part of the permit for the 30-year duration of time. But within the field, I would say within the last years, there's been a shift in relationship to what programs are called. For instance, the term early learning child development program is a common definition that the Department of Education uses consistently.
And it's to strengthen and to really formalize the fact that these are educational programs, where the previous definition over 30 years ago, the wording didn't necessarily connotate that. So, in looking at the regulations, we decided to keep the definition that had been there for 30 years, but then to add the additional definition that would focus on that early learning. So it's more of the definitional aspects of what programs have become and to be consistent with the Department of Education.
Gotcha. So they're both categories.
Yes.
It's not a specific. I'm thinking in my head. Days out my grammar, but the difference between common nouns and proper nouns, right? Like, is it a specific program that people, or is it kind of common definition that's all inclusive of child development program? It's a fine detail, I know, but along down the line, those kinds of things end up mattering.
It was intended to be more of an umbrella term. If we think 30 years ago and we think childcare, one of the first words that probably would come to many people's mouths is babysitting. And that's not what early care is in 2025. So by all means, like we are, like, the care of children is always at the forefront of what early childhood educators do. But there's consistent learning that happens through everything within an early childhood day, from schedules and routines to free play time. There's purpose in free play. And so it's really kind of, in a sense, modernizing what now is happening in early care.
So what you just said is the reason that it kind of piqued my interest when I was reading it, because B to me reads as a lower quality child care program than C, which is a more elevated, thoughtful, research-based type program. But either way, they're both kind of an umbrella terms for different programs.
But it is the capital letters are not identifying that it is a specific program. So that I want to make sure we clarify that it is the umbrella overall term.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Simpson? Help me clarify that. Is C a subset of B or is C separate from B?
C is not a subset of B.
It's okay.
Yeah. But there are multiple programs within our system that are managed by the California Department of Social Services that do provide childcare and development programs for children, birth to 13 actually. So there are lots of ranges of ages as well as types of programs.
Commissioner Simmons?
Okay, in all of these, my primary concern has been to maintain a pipeline and accessibility for TK teachers. In my district, as an example, 5% of our budget is spent on TK right now. That's 1.5% of our budget is actually overstaffed beyond the staffing requirements of the state line for TK. So this is it's a huge investment that my district is making in TK. But if I don't have access to qualified teachers, that will be a problem for me and other districts like mine. So what I would add another issue, there are all sorts of labor relations issues that can fall out of not being able to transfer between assignments within the same site. We're in pretty major declining enrollment right now. That could impact the effect of layoffs. So my interest is in maintaining that pipeline for TK. What impact will these regulations have on the ability for us to use, and I'm forgetting the ed code, I'm old, but the ed code that allows us those three options for putting a multiple subject teacher within a TK classroom?
I'm trying to kind of pull that apart a little.
That's more the PK3
Yeah.
credential versus child development permit. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm,
No, I'm talking about a multiple subject credential teacher who uses the child development permit to enable them to have a TK assignment.
So this is, you're asking about that section of education code that's related to apportionment.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I understand it's not in our purview, but what we do impacts that.
Certainly. So the regulations, so I'm going to go backwards to go forwards. So the regulations that are being proposed are based on what the commission approved in February. Okay. We are not reducing the unit hours for child development permits or these new ECE 1, 2, 3 and ECA 1 and 2. So it should not affect apportionment because the way that the apportionment language is written, it's about a multiple subject credential holder with 24 units of early childhood or, you know, a combination thereof. So, or a multiple subject holder who has a child development permit. So if we have a multiple subject credential holder who also holds one of these, it wouldn't affect that. They're still getting the 24 units one way or the other. Aaron's coming to talk. Because you can never have too many Aarons at the table.
I would just say we can't answer that question because those are CDE's regulations.
Yeah.
So right now, if I'm remembering correctly, their regulation specifically calls out the child development teacher permit as an option for meeting the apportionment requirements. So how they're going to navigate the change in the permit structure is a question we'd have to work with them on to be able to hello.
Inclusive is word is.
I was like, how you just whispered to Debbie, is Virginia here yet? I know she was on the way. Virginia from
Hi,
Department.
everyone. Virginia Early from the California Department of Education. Happy to be with you all today. The question is, how do we make sure that as this goes into effect, that a teacher that might have the new permit and a multiple subject teaching credential can still teach TK? And I think what my colleague was saying is that as long as they have the 24 units of early ed, they can come in under a different option in that statute. It might be something that, you know, once these regulations are finalized, we might want to, you know, talk about with the legislature. Do we want to add a reference to the new permit as well as to the old permit? But that 24 unit language is still there. And there's also the comparative experience that is determined and documented by the local school district. So just wanted to clarify that that's there as well.
Looking at him.
Well, I have been sufficiently answered.
Thank you. Thanks for your support.
Took 5 people, but you got it.
I'd also just quickly like to go back to Commissioner Francois. If it would, your comment, if it would make more sense to change those capitalizations within the text, that is something that can.
I think that would get much clearer.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Appreciate the suggestion.
Commissioner Brown.
Way to go. It has taken so long to do because it matters. And both the community colleges that have been working for decades to educate and prepare early childhood educators are really excited about the connections that this child development permit is making into the public education system. So I just wanted to, I mean, I've been with you all the way, so I don't need to go into details, but that was a good question, and we're really improving the situation, expanding the access. And I think it's really going to make a difference to children and families and teaching teams all along, 0 to 8. Yeah. So thank you.
Mr. Torre.
I just want to say thank you for finally putting us together because I'm coming from the other end. I was a credential teacher who got the 24 units. But in the disparity between the community of early childhood educators of what I was getting paid and what my other colleagues paid, or not having sub days or sick time, and seeing the unfairness where we were both doing the same job. And it's time. So thank you.
Commissioner Torres?
Thank you for the presentation. Just a quick question indicating that it looks like the Early Childhood Administrator 2 is replacing the previously highest level Child Development Program Director permit. Previously that required both a baccalaureate degree and a master's degree in addition to other requirements. But now the ECA 2 bachelor's degree is one pathway, and then the master's degree is non-existent. What is the rationale for that?
So in looking at the regulations for the ECA 2, we're looking at the bachelor's degree, and it does state in there bachelor's degree or higher. So there's reference to, we didn't specifically call out the master's degree in terms of that, but it would apply to anyone with a master's degree with the additional requirements. The existing permit, it would be just the master's degree, but with this permit, it would be the master's degree plus the adult supervision and the clinical practice. So
Baseline, previously one had to have a master's degree.
no, that wasn't a requirement. That was an option. That's one option for the program director. Current regulation.
So current regulation 2. Oh, that's one of the options. Okay.
Are there any other commissioners? Any online? This is an information action item. Do I have a motion to approve the proposed amendments to Title V, California Code of Regulations, and promulgate regulations consistent with previous commission actions for child development permit structure and requirements? I think I see two people. I see Commissioner La Torre and Commissioner Simmons. Did I get that right? Or Commissioner Davis? Who got first? All right, Commissioner Davis. So
Point of
Yes.
clarification, I think staff, as they presented the item, identified two small, non-substantive bits that they'd like to make. So we presume that this motion includes the making of those two small changes as they get ready to promulgate the
And the
reg.
capitalization changes.
The capitalization, three non-substantive changes. So the motion includes that?
I have a motion by Commissioner La Torre. I have a second by Commissioner Davis that includes the three additional items. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. Will the recording secretary call for the vote? Each member please respond with aye, nay, or abstain.
Jose Cardenas,
Aye.
Juan Cruz,
Aye.
Clifford Davis,
Aye.
Michael De La Torre,
Aye.
Aquino Shire,
Aye.
Ira Lit,
Aye.
Mencius,
Aye.
David Simmons,
Aye.
Richard Simpson, Mike Torres,
Aye.
Resolved. Aye. Carries.
I just want to say thank you for all those who submitted the public comment, who've continued to work on this work group as well. But also just the fact that we're really looking for career mobility, right? And building this framework for workforce development. This is really exciting. And thank you to the whole team that came, that collaborated from the CDE and CTC staff. That was great. So thank you. With all that, thank you, Ms. Marshall. Thank you, Ms. Killer. And also thank you, Ms. Early. All right, so we're on to item 2B. The next item is item 2B, Child Development Permit Performance Expectations, Field Survey Update. This item is also being presented by Renee Marshall and Deborah Keeler. This is an information action item. Ms. Keeler, will you please begin?
Good morning, commissioners. Today's agenda item 2B presents the results of a commission field survey conducted between October and November of 2025 on the recommendations of the commission's child development permit performance expectations. For today's item, staff will briefly introduce the purpose and scope of the proposed revisions, summarize the background and rationale
grounding the work, and report on the field survey. The survey drew strong statewide participation across program types and roles, providing representative input on feasibility, clarity, and role alignment. The results helped inform targeted edits to language, crosswalks, and implementation supports. We will highlight key modifications based on the analysis that help to streamline expectations, reducing duplication, clarifying authorizations, and adding guidance where the field requested it. The item concludes with an implementation timeline and next steps, including release of the updated materials and technical assistance. I'll hand it over to Renee.
Go to the next slide, please. In February 2025, the Commission adopted an updated child development permit structure. The revised child development permit structure clarifies the roles: assisting, teaching, mentoring, and leading with authorization and preparation pathways. The ECE teaching performance expectations were initially adopted in 2019 to guide preparation for the child development permit and needed to be updated to align with the revised child development permit structure that was approved in February 2025 and the evolving early learning landscape. The draft performance expectations were developed with field input and help to update addressing prior issues of overlap, duplication, and uneven measurability to fit within the 24-unit early childhood education child development preparation scope. In addition, universal design for learning and culturally sustaining pedagogy are embedded within the revisions. Also, these expectations have now been retitled to the Child Development Permit Performance Expectations, CDP-PE, to reflect their direct alignment with the new permit structure. A little bit of background here. A field survey was conducted from October 10th through November 10th of 2025. The field survey included 5 separate surveys, each matching the 5 permit levels: Early Childhood Educator 1, ECE 1, ECE 2, ECE 3. Then we also had surveys for Early Childhood Administrator 1, ECA 1, and ECA 2. We had a total of 777 respondents who participated in the field survey. The field survey included a 4-point Likert scale, which included essential, important, somewhat important, and unnecessary. And we are excited to share with you the data related to the results of the surveys by the permit level. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Dr. Keeler to share those responses.
Thank you. So we received 258 survey responses for those who completed the Early Childhood Educator 1 survey. You will note in each of the tables with each permit levels indicated total respondents. I want to emphasize that. The total respondents really do represent the individual that submitted each survey, along with every response to every element within the meeting to reflect that. We will note throughout the ECE 1 through 3 permit level slides consistently include the highest number of state preschool, Head Start, and licensed family child care program affiliations is noted on table 2A. The percentages of the type of program and the program affiliations are included on the slide for reference. Respondents' primary roles were led by assistant and associate teachers, and director, as indicated on table 3A, pages 4 and 5. Across the 6 domains, the shared rating items as important or essential was exceptionally high, indicating strong field affirmation of the proposed expectations for ECE 1 on table 4A, page 7. For the ECE 2 responses, we received 162 survey responses. Respondents' primarily roles were by lead teacher, followed by director and family child care owner operator. Across domains 1 through 6, ratings of items as important or essential were nearly unanimous, indicating very strong field affirmation of the proposed expectations for ECE 2 on table 5A, page 8. For the field survey ECE, early childhood educator 3 responses, we received 84. By primary role, respondents were most often teachers, directors, and family childcare owners, operators, also represented. Across the 6 domains, ratings of items as important or essential were very strong, indicating broad support for proposed expectations for ECE 3 on table 6A, page 9. Field survey early childhood administrator 1 responses were 151. And the largest program affiliates were CSPP, community-based private centers, and Head Start. By role, respondents were primarily directors, followed by other administrators and family childcare owners and operators. Across the 6 domains, ratings of items as important or essential were overwhelmingly positive, indicating strong field support for the proposed expectations located on table 6A, page 9. For the early childhood administrator 2, the number of respondents were 122. Respondents most commonly came from CFCP, Head Start, and community-based private centers. By role, they were primarily directors, followed by other administrators. Across domains 1 through 6, ratings of items as important or essential were exceptionally high, showing strong support for the proposed expectations of an ECA 2 on table 7A, page 10. I'll hand it over to Renee. Thanks, Debbie.
Field survey feedback was reviewed domain by domain, and combined ratings of important and essential produced an overall approval rate of 95% or higher across all elements. That was so exciting for me, honestly, because then if you look at the other side of the Likert scale, that includes the unnecessary and somewhat, 5% or less overall included, check those, I thought that was a great finding. Most items were found as written, and responses marked at other were not largely applicable selections. Usually when people marked other, most of the times they were saying, I have no response or NA, and we tallied those. So that other really is a lot of people saying I had no comment. Slide, please. Thank you. Some of the performance expectation modification. First of all, it was really important that building capacity was something that was noted for those ECE ones, those entering teachers. Key modifications included some plain language edits across the performance expectations to improve readability and consistency. Plus, there were explicit references in ECE1 elements to clarify that ECE1 is serving in a capacity where they are assisting an ECE2 or higher in that classroom setting. In addition, specifically here on ECE2 Performance Expectation 2.3, we have explicitly included the wording supervision of young children to reinforce the teacher of record's responsibility for active supervision. With this, we'll go to our next slide and share our overall summary tables, and Dr. Keeler will share those with us.
So across all 6 domains, the proposal is recommended for approval. EC1 is marked approved in domains 1 through 6 with asterisks to represent the inclusion under the guidance and supervision of an ECE2 plus. ECE2 is approved across domains with an asterisk approved note in domain 2 that included the addition of supervision of young children. ECE3 indicates approval with no changes, and ECA1 and ECA2 are indicated as approved in domains 1 through 4, as domains 5 and 6 do not apply to the administrative roles and therefore are left blank, but they are approved. In short, approve of all domains with limited targeted edits, primarily for all domains in ECE1 and ECE2, domain 2. So the timeline includes the activities of today, December 2025, with a final draft for commission action. By spring of 2026, the revised performance expectations are anticipated to be integrated into the regulation package. In summer of 2026, if the package is approved by the Office of Administrative Law, Programs will be encouraged to align coursework and clinical practice to the revised CDP. Staff will provide monitoring, technical assistance, and periodic updates as needed. Staff recommends that the commission review the information presented in this agenda item and, if appropriate, approve proposed changes to the child development permit, performance expectations, and next steps. Thank you, and we're happy to answer any questions.
We will now open for public comment. If there are members of the public that would like to make a comment, please notify the meeting moderator by submitting a request card or by clicking on the raise hand icon if participating through Zoom, or pressing *9 if participating by phone. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Are there any public comments?
My name is Mark. Well, my name is Mark with Cadango. I really appreciate the work that Deborah and Renee have been doing. We're really excited to receive the field survey via email, and we shared it out with our teams. One thing that came up for me in the work that I've been doing are grassroots organizing with families. As we think about what we want our teachers to the competencies and skills that we want them to have, and I think it's also important that we making good decisions based on what families want for their children. And so I know that there's a timeline, but if somehow, some way we can find a way to engage families around I think it would be really ideal. There are opportunities within Head Start community. We have parent policy councils within Head Start that, I think be helpful in providing feedback on these PPEs, and even through school districts like your PTAs or, there are different ways that we can engage families, and I think it's really important that we have good work as well represented in these decisions.
The comment period for this item is now closed. Do commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? Brown?
Incredible, and a lot of data that really helps. And you're nodding too. That really helps us know what you asked, what you found out, and what so many parts of the field have addressed. I really appreciate that. That's really data driven. I think that I also appreciate comments from our Cadango colleague about being included on this all along. It's a very interesting new idea about considering how families are engaged with what teacher expectations are. That hasn't been a common thread in our credentialing programs, on our teacher preparation programs. It has, however, been a part of some of the coursework in all of the teacher preparation programs, is that when you work with children, you also work with families. So it's not that it has never been discussed. They haven't been brought in as decision makers, but the idea of having them begin to understand not just what a teacher does, but how a teacher is prepared would be an interesting thought for some of the system like school district or like Head Start with their parent group. I don't know that that's a place for the commission per se. I think what we're trying to do here is to create those appropriate expectations and the connection to the rest of the teacher preparation. That is an idea as a follow-up past this I think really makes good sense. And I know that the California, the institution that I represent, really integrates that into a lot of their coursework. So that's a good idea.
I so surprised and excited to see all the data, the diverse back, and shocked by the results. Data. Happily shocked and surprised. being from early childhood and also a statistician, very happy. So it brings a lot of joy to my heart. So thank you so much for this, and makes me so happy that we're moving in the right direction and to have this team working on this. So thank you.
Doris?
I want to jump on that bandwagon as we're very data driven as well at the Department of Education, and very impressed with the high end value, the number of scholars that you've reached out to. And in any good research study, a p-value of 5% is your target. You've all exceeded that. So that means your PEs that you've identified are pretty consistent with what's wanted in the field. So thank you for your work on that.
Any other commissioners? I just want to elevate a little bit of what our partner Fandango brought up, and also Commissioner Brown, about having that community voice, that family voice. I know we often say it to our educators to get it. What an important aspect to also obtain of what families want their children to obtain while they go through this process. I know it's, again, maybe not in our purview, but it is, if we're practice what we preach, right? We're asking other people to do it. So maybe a possibility to try to engage some of our families in this work, I think is needed. I always like to have family voice and student voice incorporated into this. With that said, are there any other commissioners that have any other further discussion? All right, this is an information action item. Do I have a motion to approve the proposed changes to development permit performance expectations and next steps listed on page 12 of the agenda item? Commissioner De La Torre, I have a motion by Commissioner De La Torre first. Do I have a second? Commissioner Davis? Is there any further discussion? Will the recording secretary please call for the vote? Please remember, please respond with aye, nay, or abstain.
Dave Cardenas,
Aye.
Juan Cruz,
Aye.
Christopher Davis,
Aye.
Michael De La Torre,
Aye.
Martina Bruno Shire, Ira Lit,
Aye.
Mencias,
Aye.
Andy Simmons.
Aye.
Mike Torres,
Aye.
Wang Yuzhou,
Aye.
Before we go, I'd like to turn over to Executive Director Sandy.
I just have to pause for a moment because the last time we made this level of change in the structure of the child development permit was 1993. And I was sitting at that end of the table, bringing it to a different body altogether. We've tinkered with it over the last 32 years. This is a substantial set of changes. In 1993, we didn't adopt performance expectations. We still recognized course titles as the essential content, child development, child, family, and community in some form of curriculum, plus whatever units you wanted to put into that. That was what the market could bear in 1993. But for the commission at this point to significantly update that permit structure with attention to how it creates opportunity to grow into other levels of the credential system, with continued recognition of the lattice part of this, which is how people can enter at different levels of readiness to be prepared and to earn their license. I mean, that's new thinking in this space and in this time. The collaboration with the Department of Education has been profound as we've been working collaboratively for several years now on how to uplift a universal transitional kindergarten. And we can't attend to that for 4-year-olds unless we're really thinking about the impact on the 0 to 4 population that this permit will serve. So doing all of this together and getting to this point is remarkable. And I want to congratulate you, commissioners, for your moment in history for the 30-year reform. And you all took the vote to get it moving forward. And also, it's been mentioned, but Renee and Debbie and Bronwyn are our early childhood education team, and their appetite for engagement with the field and with the public on this is voracious. They want it, and they make themselves present in whatever way they can to hear it. And that includes families. I think what you adopt today in a set of performance expectations, again, we don't accredit child development preparation programs. So what you adopt as performance expectations is advisory guidance to the community colleges and any other institution that's preparing this workforce. And the community college system has had a voracious appetite for this guidance because they sit down and align their coursework to it, leading to this permit. The way this ecosystem's remarkable thing. And I just really want to congratulate the staff on bringing us to this moment. And commissioners, thank you for giving us this moment in history and giving me a moment of personal, professional privilege to recognize it.
Should I just add, I started teaching in 91. The changes that I've seen in my career as an educator from 91 to today, it's unbelievable. It's just incredible. The things that I've seen, I just want to give a round of applause to you, Director Sandy, and everyone, the commission, everyone that's worked on this. And I just couldn't believe this could have happened back in the 90s today.
It's also remarkable to have Phyllis Jacobson still in the room.
Yes.
Because she's been a pioneer with us for all of those years. And Erin Sullivan also did her time on the child development permit. We've all had a piece of this, I think, with a great deal of optimism for what a difference it makes if we focus correctly at this stage of early development. So thank you all.
What a milestone. Thank you, Ms. Marshall. Thank you, Ms. Keeler. Early. Also, Ms. Kennedy, who's not here with us right now, but thank you for everybody who's worked on this. Really appreciate it. We'll move on to our next item too.
Thank you for acknowledging Bronwyn Kennedy. Though she's not able to be here today, she's been absolutely instrumental to the work that's been led by Dr. Keeler. So thank you. Appreciate everybody.
We transition to item 2C. Our next item is 2C, update on statewide residency technical assistance. Center. This item is being presented by Christina Najaro, along with representatives from the statewide residency technical assistance center. This is an information item. Ms. Najaro, what do you think?
Good morning. Thank you. First, it's a pleasure to be here today to introduce the annual update on the statewide residency technical assistance center. Commissioners may recall in August of 2023, Santa Clara County Office of Education was awarded a $20 million grant to provide technical assistance to the field as the field builds capacity for, implements, and expands teacher and school counselor residency programs. Santa Clara County designed a regional hub structure with Humboldt, Sacramento, Tulare, and San Diego County Offices of Ed, and together they and the hubs run the residency lab collaborate to provide essential support to current and future residency programs. In addition, they work with West Ed and UCLA to measure the impact of SRTAC. Joining me today in spirit is my partner, Sarah Barwani, the lead consultant on the school counselor residency grant program, who is not able to be present today. And at the table with me is Adora Fisher, the executive director of SRTAC, and Gina Perry, director both from Santa Clara County office. With this, I will hand the presentation over to Adora to share more about their strategic plan and to highlight SRTAC's impact on the state residency programs.
Good morning, Commission. It's a pleasure to be here before you today, 2 years into our SRTAC program, our statewide residency technical assistance center. We have a lot to share with you. There's been a lot that has gone on. I'm going to allow you to take a look at the mission vision and our commitment. As you look at that, I want you to realize and understand that we are so passionate about this work and so grateful to the commission and to the state for granting us the funding to support our residency programs across the state. And we're going to learn a little bit more in a minute about the impact that we've had so far. I'd like you to just I'd like to take a moment to also thank our partners. On the screen is a few of the people that we're currently a partner with, and we'll talk a little bit more about them in our organizational chart, which is going to be on our next slide. When we started down this journey, we reached out across the state to find regional hubs that either were implementing residency programs or in need of residency. And we have been able to partner with amazing county offices of education. In Humboldt County, we are currently the leadership there for SRTAP is Colby Smart. In Sacramento County Office of Education, we have Shanique Coates. And in Tulare County Office of Education, we have Marvin Lopez. And in San Diego County Office of Education, we have Javay Jones. And a major contributor and target to this work has been Ed Conowitz from the lab, formerly known as the Teachers Lab. In addition to that, we have other major partners and we work with very closely. WestEd is one of our partners that we work with extremely closely, as well as the University of California Law and their Center X. The next level of leadership we have is Gina Perry, and she will introduce herself in just a moment. Heather Michelle from the lab, and then Kate Herman, who's also an associate director from the lab, and Carol Battle, who is a specialist from the lab. And then beneath that are the people who actually do the work on the ground. And these are the people who make a difference. We have our regional hub lead, and I really cannot go without acknowledging them. From the northern region, we have Sheila Heppy, and Sheila works out of the Humboldt County Office of Education, and a coach from the lab who partners with her, Rihanna Sessessa. We also have County Campbell, who works in the SRTAC regional lead, as an SRTAC regional lead, and her coach is Lena Anthony, and Lena works out of the lab as well. And then we also have Tina Transor. Tina is a regional lead from Sacramento County Office of Education, and her coach out of the lab is Tiani. And then from another regional lead is Brooke Barrios. Brooke works out of Fresno, but works with the Tulare County Office of Education, and her coach is Temecca Wesley. And then finally, we have Javier Vaca. Javier works out of San Diego County Office of Education, and his coach is Holly Gonzalez. I just needed to recognize those people because they are the actual people who make this work happen. And I have one more thing I'd like to say before I turn it over to Gina. Actually, two more. I'd also like to thank the California County Superintendents for their support and their letter of support and recognition for SRTAC. And in addition, I'd like to announce my retirement. I am retiring as of January. I am so proud. I have to say one of the greatest accomplishments that I have had in my career is this work with SRTAC. And I cannot speak highly enough of the impact that we're having across the state of California. I also want to thank the California Commission on Teaching Credentialing. I have worked with you over the past 20 years. I've worked with Aaron, Michelle Hickey, Adam, Kara, and Christina, Sarah. I've gone on site visits. I've been trained by the Board of Institutional Reviewers. It has been an amazing journey for me. And a lot of the development in my career and my learnings have been a result of the California Commission on Teaching Credentialing. And I cannot thank each and every one of them. So thank you. And that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Janine.
Thanks, Adora. Now I'm going to try to get through this without crying because Adora's leaving. So thank you for recognizing our hub leads because this work really cannot happen without them. And I'm going to show you a little bit about what they are doing out in the field. And so here's a couple of data points. As you can see, there's been articles published in AXA, in CCTE, but the best one and my favorite is the white paper that SRTAC put out on how some school districts are actually using local dollars to fund their residency programs. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later of the work that we're doing around sustainability. Our coaches are also providing grant overview sessions, and that is for teacher and school counselor residency programs. You can see an uptick in the last year where we almost ran out of grant funding, but then we got some wins. It was great because we're continuing those grant coaching sessions this year. There's been multiple resources created by our SRTAC leads and our teacher residency lab coaches. Resources such as module development for differentiated support, example MOUs for LEA and university partners to utilize, and so they don't have to recreate. We have multiple presentations that have been presented to both educational partners locally and also at conferences to ensure everybody knows what teacher residency and school counselor programs are and the benefits of having them locally. We've done a lot of region-specific events because the point of SRTAC is to have that really local touch point. I'm going to talk a little bit about those touch points. Who we've supported about 180 LEAs and IHEs across the state. Those that are grant funded and locally funded and prospective. And we're talking about prospective teacher and school counselor residency programs are those without grant funding. And so what kind of supports the coaches are providing is partnership development. We're digging deep into partnership so that both the LEA and the IHE have shared ownership when it comes to residency programming. There's individualized coaching, so it's personalized to that local context. There's on-demand resources, which we have a plethora of. We want to make sure that those that are coordinating the residency program don't have that heavy lift to run the program. We have in-person events and we have lots of virtual events that I'm going to talk about later that are currently happening and will continue throughout next year. And so when I talk about the 880 programs, that's not a one-time touch. There's multiple touch points that are happening through the field. So our coaches, both at the residency lab and for SRTAC, are consistently meeting with both our LEA and IHE partners. You can see on the screen there, we have 8,216 touch points just from 24-25 alone. And so we're tracking this data on the platformmonday.com. We want to make sure we know how much support is going out to the field and what that support looks like is important. And so as we look ahead to 25-26, we're going to continue the work that we've done in the last year, which is making sure that we're attracting and retaining diverse cohorts of residents, making preparation programs affordable for candidates. We have affordability models that we've created for those programs to replicate. We're designing a clinically rich high retention preparation route that IHEs and LEAs can partner to do. We're supporting residency learning through well-prepared and culturally responsive mentors. So we do have a mentor training currently that virtually anyone can attend for free. And then this year, our largest focus has, how do we create sustainable residency programs independent of grant funding? And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how we're doing that currently. This year, we're fortunate enough to receive a grant from the Gates Foundation for $500,000. It's a 2-year pilot where 23 residency programs across the state, we made sure there was equity involved. So from each of those regions, we selected programs. We used criteria for that selection process, 8 were selected to pilot models, and 5 of the county office hubs are also part of this. We're currently looking at building sustainability models using either local funds or strategic staffing models. We want to make sure that once these grant funds are done, that these programs continue. And so once this project is over, we're actually going to have a white paper that comes out, those models can be replicated across the state. A couple of other things that are happening this year is our kickoff event, which has been our highest attendance. We had 191 in attendance for that residency kickoff event. Our attendance has risen since our first year. We have our spring regional site learning tours. This is actually our most popular event. Again, this event is free for anyone to join because they happen at school sites that are currently running residency programs. So we have a lot of our IHE and LEA partners that show up. They want to see a residency program in action. They want to hear about best practices, and they get the opportunity to network with each other. And lastly, I take this opportunity to verbally invite all of you. We are having our 2026 annual statewide residency symposium happening here at CTC, April 30th and May 1st. An email will be sent with an invitation formally inviting you. Hopefully you can attend. It's a great event. We have a lot of leaders from across the state that join us. And the other things that our coaches are doing out there are our free virtual events. We wanted to make sure that we provided differentiated supports to the field and that everyone had access no matter where they were positioned across the state. So as you can see, the topic sessions here, we have mentor support because we want to make sure we're aligning our pre-service to our in-service, our induction, our residency to our induction program. And that coaching not just starts the first year of teaching, but prior to that first year of teaching. It builds that growth mindset in our candidate. So we have 5 sessions structured throughout the year on that mentor development. We also have, yes, we're focusing on LEA sustainability, but we're also focusing on IHE sustainability. What are those structures that can be put in place at our IHEs to continue running these residency programs? We have 4 sessions structured across the year. And our third one there is our LEA sustainability. Yes, we got funded through the Gates Foundation to do some of that deep sustainability work, but we wanted to offer that also statewide for everyone. And so we have 4 sessions for everyone to attend and learn how to use local dollars and strategic staffing models to run residency programs beyond grant dollars. We have our 4th one down there is building inclusive educator preparation across general and special education. So one of our highest credentialing areas is special education, and we wanted to make sure that we were giving the professional development needed for that. So there's 3 deep dive sessions for that in particular. And we have 2 networks. One of the things we've learned over the last 2 years is our residency program leads love to convene and network with those that are running, these credential alike programs. And so one of them is our rural residency program. It's rural residencies from across the state. They're meeting 9 times and really creating a lot of how do we do this work together? Because in some parts of our state, especially in the northern parts of the state, they need 1 teacher. So they need a consortium of LEA and IHEs to come together to run these types of programs. And so we're doing a lot of learning through our rural residency network. And then the last one there, really good program, and we've seen quite an uptick in applications because of this program, is our network is the School Counselor Residency Network. Quite an uptick from that network. We started with no applications till I think Christina is at 18 now.
It's 13 for school counselor.
13
this
for
round,
school
yeah.
counselor this round. So quite an uptick there from 0 to 13 in the last 2 years. We're really proud of that, and this little network has really been advocating for that work. And that concludes my presentation and all the work that we've been doing out of SRTAC. Thank you very much for having us today.
Thank you, Adora and Gina. As commissioners heard, there is a lot being done and there is still more to do. The commission's residency grants team meets regularly with SRTAC. Adora, we're going to miss you at our monthly meeting. You might be calling. Together, we're supporting the over 226 grant-funded LEA and IHE partnerships. There are 105 teacher residency capacity grantees that are currently active in their grants, 195 teacher residency implementation and expansion grantees, 16 school counselor capacity grantees, 10 school counselor residency implementation grantees, as well as all of the prospective applicants to each of these grant programs. Staff look forward to being back at this table with our colleagues from SR TAC with an update on their work in fall of 2026. Thank you. We are available for any questions that commissioners may have.
Thank you. We'll now open for public comment. There are members of the public that would like to make a comment. Please notify the meeting moderator by submitting a request card or by clicking on the raise hand icon if participating through Zoom or pressing *9 if participating by phone. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Recording secretary, are there any public comments?
Public comments.
Thank you. Public comment period for this item is now closed. Do commissioners have any questions or comments on? Commissioner Pop.
I just wanted to say a big thank you for the incredible work that you're doing, supporting all of our partnerships on this very, very viable approach to pathway to teaching and to preparation. And Adora, thank you and well wishes. Next step in your journey. Thank you for all of your contributions.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Bennett.
I also want to express my gratitude for this work to all of you. The power of residency programs is clear. We know that. So very well prepared, very diverse teachers who stay in the schools in which they're prepared. I appreciate in this particular overview the emphasis on collaboration with higher education. I haven't heard that enough for my liking, and so I really appreciate that. As well as the lessons learned regarding sustainability using district funds. So I look forward to California being that leader in this area once again, and I wish you very well in your retirement. I hope you don't fail like some of us have.
Commissioner Francois. Commissioner Francois.
So as an early adopter of I'm going to get emotional about this. I'm just going to let you know ahead of time. As an early adopter of teacher residencies at UCLA, to see the residency movement grow and deepen across the last 15 years, I'm going to say, is y'all are singing to me this morning. You all are seriously singing to me this morning. Thank you so much for your work. I also think one of the beautiful things about your presentation was the focus on the kind of partnerships that are necessary to make this work happen. And oftentimes in the field, when we have different, call them units, involved in this, trying to do the same thing, they don't talk to each other. And that you collaborate so well with the residency lab and so well with the CTC's efforts to their educator workforce development efforts is just, it's exemplary. It's an exemplar of the power of connection and partnership. So thank you. I am curious about how this work dovetails with the work of the California State Educator Workforce Collaborative, particularly when you talked about next steps and financial sustainability. I know that that collaborative has worked a lot about not just residencies, but teacher preparation in general. And if you're prepared to talk a little bit about that, and I'd love to hear about it. Although I also don't want to put you on the spot. Adora, I did not know that you were retiring. And I just want to say that although we've only met a couple of times, I adore you. Unintended. I can't think of someone whose gentle nature, spirit, but also acumen, commitment to this work. I don't know that it would have been shepherded the way that it has been without your participation. So I just really want to thank you for that. Your work is seen and appreciated. So back to the collaborative. If you want to remark on that, all good. If not, hold on to it and take it.
Yeah, we've been on a couple of meetings with the collaborative. We were on it last year, I believe, and the year before. And I know some of the things that we were wanting to get from that is like, what is our goals? What's that target we're all trying to meet in the different credential areas across the state so that then we can support that through our residency programs. That was one of the when we were working with Dana that we were surfacing for residency. It would be nice to have that data point. How many teachers do we need in California for special education, and what's the target for us, and how are we nearing that target? We need that measurement is what we're looking for. Like that would be very helpful for us as we communicate to our LEA and IHE partners as a state, as a collective. This is what we're working towards.
Thank you for that. I think leveraging Western expertise in all of the different ways that they've been in supporting the work across the system, supporting you. They've been a great partner. So kudos for connecting with them.
Are there any other, Commissioner Brown?
And so, as exciting as this is, and you just, I have to say this, you all sound very early childish, because early childhood is so collaborative. And I'm just thinking it's going to be really exciting moving forward, seeing everything that you've done with other institutions of higher education and thinking about how the community college institution of higher education can be involved with that focus now that we have the child development permit, also the P-3 credential. I also I have one question. Have you had any connection with the California Early Childhood Mentor Program? Because that happens at the, well, it was with the Department of Ed and now it's with the Department of Social Services, but that's a mentor program that the community colleges use a lot and serve as stellar placements for their student teachers for their supervised field experience. I happen to be the regional coordinator over in San Mateo, so I know a lot about it, but over time, it would be great to sort of begin to look at how those things will start.
You know, actually, now that you're mentioning the mentoring program, we work closely with College, West Valley Community College, and De Anza Community.
With Mission and who?
Mission, West Valley, and De Anza. And we're building pathways. There are pathways to credentialing, but initially we take candidates in to start out with their associate teacher permit and using California Apprenticeship Initiative funding, which is not an SR-TAC, but it's part of Santa Clara County and the work that I have also been overseeing. And so through that, the community colleges use those mentors to mentor their students, because one of our requirements is that all of those students have mentorships. And then we pay those mentor stipends in new early childhood education leaders into the field. The pathway then moves from associate teacher to a teacher permit. And then from a teacher permit, we're trying to bridge this gap. So I'm going to say it everywhere I go between associate teacher and BA. That's where our gap is right now. And then from the BA into teaching pathway. And Gina did mention this, but other branches under my division who are building this early childhood education pathway partner with SR-TAC as well to ensure aspects of the pathway as we build it, that it connects with residency programs. So looking at PK3 residency, for example, or your educator folks who are looking at residency, for example. So I have to tell you that that's another passion of mine, is building these pathways to ensure that we get educators and well-trained, well-supported educators who will eventually go into teacher credentialing, so they become teachers, but ensuring that we backfill along the way. So along with that, we're building early childhood education pre-apprenticeship programs for high school students.
And while I may not be with any of those three, I know faculty in all of those three and and participating in the apprenticeship is something that we just had a Bay Area meeting about it yesterday. Yeah. Good. That's great. Thank you.
Are there any other commissioners? I just want to add, it's excitement. I think prior to me being here at the commission, I started researching residency and what they could do for students and the way they could support and foster their long-term careers and just their early start as well. It was exciting for me to learn about. And then also when I being part of the commission, learning more and how it's been going on and best practices, and to even see it go to their counselor residency now and incorporating that and what other areas we can actually lean into as well. It's been really nice to learn more. And I know for the school counselor part of it, it's been new and to really mirror best practices of the teacher residency and how that looks like. But with that said, I just would like to say that this residency movement is, I think, a great model that can continue to support our education workforce and the collaborative efforts that have been happening throughout all these years, 20 years plus, and where it could go. Just want to say thank you so much for your work that you've been doing with us. And also congratulations on your retirement. I'm sure you'll be back in some capacity, I think. I'm thinking so. But just this training and support that's being offered, I think about the high school pipeline is definitely needed. And I think anybody that comes to education can really use this support. So thank you again. I don't know if any other commissioners have anything else to say, but this is an information item. So no action is required. We actually look forward to having you come back and share some more results. Thank you, Ms. Nahato. Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Thank you, Ms. Perry, and also Ms. Barwani, who I know who's not here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know you're all eager for a break. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break and then come back and get another item down. But we'll see you in 10 minutes. Back, everyone. Just want to double check. Do we have a quorum?
No. We don't. Well, we have two on the line. We have quorum. Good.
Great. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Our next item is 2D, the annual report of the Committee on Accreditation 2025. This item is being presented by Robert Seeley, Patrick McKee, 2024-2025 co-chairs of the Committee on Accreditation, and Cheryl Hickey and Miranda Gutierrez. This is an information item. Ms. Hickey, will you please begin?
Good afternoon, commissioners. Today we're presenting the 2024-25 annual report of the COA to the commission, and I'm joined by our two co-chairs from last year, Dr. Fraley and Patrick McKee, and my colleague administrator, Miranda Gutierrez. I want to acknowledge before we get started the hard work of the commission analyst, Michelle Bernardo, who is instrumental in developing this report every year. She prepares the first draft of the report. She collects all the data. She does all the communication back and forth from the COA's actions to the institutions. So her work is invaluable for this report. I would also like to acknowledge the time, energy, and expertise that Dr. Fraley has devoted to the committee over the last number of years. He served as one of two COA co-chairs since 2017, and for all of those years, he has held institutions to the commission standards, never flinching from difficult decisions, but he's always done so by demonstrating compassion and kindness for all of the individuals involved. He's been thoughtful. He knows how to diffuse tense situations, provides solid advice for next steps, and is especially adept in knowing how to bring many perspectives together to make a cohesive and fair decision. He's led the COA through numerous standard changes, changes in the system itself. He brought calmness and rationality to the chaos and confusion caused by the pandemic and has been a steady leader through it all. So I just want to thank Dr. Fraley as he retires from the COA and from his education profession. This report is presented in the same format as previous years, despite the fact that last year was a very that focused on primarily ensuring compliance with SB 488, the literacy instruction, particularly around literacy certification and the work that we had to do in that regards. Section 1 covers many of the general accreditation adjacent activities with staff is involved, and Miranda Gutierrez is going to highlight some of those. Section 2 is focused on the COA decisions, which the co-chairs will discuss. And then Section 3 is focused on our current workload. So I'm going to turn this over to Miranda.
Good morning. Thank you. So, as Cheryl mentioned, I'll be going over Section 1, which includes some of the general accomplishments over the 24-25 year. So looking at the work for the 24-25 year, you can see the major accreditation activities were deferred. Most notably, site visits were deferred, but I'd like to point out that a number of visits were not deferred. So we held site visits for institutions who chose to keep their site visit in the 24-25 year. We also conducted follow-up revisits from institutions in the previous year. And then we also hosted provisional site visits. And so while the major accreditation activities were suspended or deferred, there were also a number of activities that continued, which our co-chairs will discuss and share some data as we go over the full report. So more of our general accomplishments. The COA typically meets 6 to 7 times a year. And over the 24-25 year, they met 7 times. One of the committee's role is to implement the accreditation system, and that includes making accreditation decisions. Our co-chairs will also share more about those decisions in the next section. Our communication with the field did not change. We continue to issue the weekly PSD e-news, which is now the EQ Weekly, which is for the educator branch, or educator quality branch. And as you can see, that's now going out to over 5,300 individuals. And we continue to issue program sponsor alerts or PSAs. And between 24-25, we issued 10 that went out to the field. So one activity that was constant was the technical assistance being provided to the field. So for site visits that are taking place this fall and next spring, consultants have been regularly meeting with those institutions since the beginning of this calendar year and some even before that. The initial institutional team hosted Accreditation 101 for institutions who are looking to become commission-approved program sponsors. We held regular office hours for the various programs that we credentialed. And then we also had those SB 48 office hours, which were multiple times a week during the summer. Our accreditation activities continued with annual data within the annual data system. That was not one activity that was suspended or deferred. So we were still requiring institutions to provide their annual data to us. And along with the data, we did continue the implementation of our accreditation surveys, which includes program completer surveys for preliminary and induction programs, as well as the employer and mentor surveys. We also continued our partnerships with the national accreditors, AQUIP and CAPE. And then as we prepare for site visits resuming, or as site visits have resumed this fall and into the spring, we did resume the Board of Institutional Reviewer training in this last summer in 2025. And then as we presented multiple times, much of the 24-25 year in the last few months have been heavily focused on Senate Bill 488 and the literacy certification of the approved preliminary programs. And as you know, this was no small undertaking as we needed to suspend most of the major accreditation activities so that this work could be completed. In addition to the certification process, staff worked on developing a process to bridge what was provided in literacy certification and what is needed for institutions with site visits this year and then the following site visit cohort. So with that, I will go ahead and over to co-chair Bob Frelly.
Thank you, Miranda. Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, Executive Director Sandy and all the CTC staff surrounding us. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. For our accreditation activities, it was a pretty active year, one of the more active years that we've had in recent history. We've had 4 regular site visits, 2 with full accreditation, 1 with the 7th year report, and 2 with stipulation. And because we had limited regular site visits, no real trends can be identified for standards this year. A number of the visits were done virtually, which ended up saving, of course, the commission financial resources, but it also made it easier and more accessible to be in contact with all those who were going to be spoken with, as well as the representatives from the COA and the board of instructional reviewers are out there to do these visits along with the staff. So
And good morning, and it's an honor to be here today as well with Co-Chair Frelly. With all of our hard work, we also want to extend that our work is also in competition with 12 other individuals who are definitely dedicating their time tirelessly behind the scenes, all volunteering their time to be a part of the Committee on Accreditation and meeting regularly. As we had talked about with the literacy certification this past year, there are a number of different things that were on hold, but definitely a lot of activities were continuing in the field with our work as the Committee on Accreditation. As Dr. Frelly has shared, of those 4 visits that we did have this year, we were proud to have 4 with full accreditation and 1 with the 7th-year report. As we look at the larger accreditation focus for this past year, really the information begins on page 26. If you take a look at the report, there were 10 institutions that had stipulation follow-ups and 4 that had a required revisit due to major stipulations. But I am happy to report as well that of those 10, all except 1 were able to advance to accreditation with all the stipulations removed. So on a final note, as we continue, as Dr. Philly has shared in the past and moving forward, there definitely are the virtual site visits that are continuing, but they're the same level as they were when they were previously in person, with a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes in the virtual atmosphere. In the next slide, you'll notice that one of our activities, we are monitoring the initial institutional approval process. This 5-stage process is outlined on page 27. Pages 27 to 29 list the progression of the different institutions who are advancing through the process this past year. The process culminates in what's called a provisional site visit, and all that is explained on page 29. There are 8 institutions who are recommended to the commission for full accreditation, and thank you, you approved all of those 8 institutions in your meetings. Now we're going to pass it back to Co-Chair Frelly, who's going to speak to the approval of new programs.
Thank you, Co-Chair McKee. So again, it was a very, very active year. There were 36 new programs approved by the COA. And this is all referenced on page 31 of the summary. We had 8 PK, a pre-K 3, bringing it to a total of total number of the new credentials to 32, which is nice to see. There were 7 clear administrative services, 3 child welfare attendants, 4 pupil personnel services, and of those 3 were social work and 1 was counseling. Also notable, there was an added DHH program, as well as a math instructional services added authorization. On the next slide, you can see over the past 5 years how the program approval has really grown astronomically. And I'd like to mention that as those programs are being approved, the standards that are maintained by the COA, also representing the commission here, hasn't changed. We've held those same standards and expectations. We are seeing that the quality of the programs are improving. We are seeking the support of the staff of the commission here, which has been very beneficial in ensuring that they are on the right track to be approved. So it's just been a nice trend that we've been seeing over the past few years. On the next slide, I'm particularly happy to say, as a member of the arts or the music field, that we have theater and dance, and those are some of the newer ones, and we're very thrilled that they are starting to become programs that are more acceptable and more prolific, I would say, throughout the state. And so we see a number of those that have been increasing. Music, I'm sorry that they're a low number there, I won't speak to that. But then we have the art and the world language, as well as agriculture. So we're definitely seeing some growth in those areas. And next slide we have there is change in program status for the existing programs. 17 of the programs went inactive, and you will find that list on page 33 of the report. 4 are for Truro University that is closing an educator preparation at the end of the year. So that compensates for a large number of those. And the others are spread across various credential areas. There were 16 programs that were withdrawn and they were closed. And you can see that on page 34 of the report. And then there were added authorization in autism spectrum disorder. And that continues to be the highest number of being withdrawn programs that we had 4 last year. At this point, turn it back to Co-Chair McKee, and he's going to discuss the work plan.
We're currently in 25-26, and you'll find that the work plan for our current year that we're in includes a lot of these activities we talked about. As mentioned last year, there was the deferral on accreditation activities, but this year all activities are fully resumed. Liaison Accreditation has and will continue to conduct its regular schedule of meetings, which will include the follow-up on 3 institutions, 2 of which had stipulations. Site visits will continue with the remaining 22 green cohort institutions, and this is also a program review year and a common standard review year for the yellow cohort. The indigo and orange cohorts are responsible for submitting their preconditions, which is in March. And the annual data submission will remain for a required activity for all institutions. As a highlight, there are 30 institutions who are in the process of provisional approval, and 5 provisional site visits are scheduled for this year. I'd like to take a moment to extend our appreciation as the COA to the CTC staff, which under the direction of Aaron Sullivan, they work tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure this is a smooth and seamless process for everyone. And we continue to hear that at the COA meetings when people are reporting their experiences, and it always has been with positive affirmations to the CTC staff. And in our work, our appreciation to Cheryl, Miranda Gutierrez, Michelle Bernardo, and all the consultants and commission staff who are involved with all these activities. We also want to extend our appreciation to the countless BIR trained reviewers and team leads. Again, these are all volunteers in the field who are conducting all these site visits, creating all of their reports, and providing that to us at our regular COA meetings. Facilitating each of those site visits and creating those reports is a lot of work that they do behind the scenes. But it's just remarkable to hear every COA meeting how everyone feels the process was a wonderful, positive learning process that helped strengthen their programs. And they felt completely supported along the way by the commission staff. It really is a group of educators and leaders who have gone through an extensive training process with the BIR to really commit to this for all institutions across the state of California. And in the end, that's what we're trying to ensure. You put us forth as members of the Committee of Accreditation to ensure high quality programs across the state. And I think that's what we're continuing to assure on your behalf. So with that, I'd like to pass it back to Ms. Hickey.
Yeah, so the slides just deal with some of the other accreditation adjacent kind of work that we're doing. So we're continuing to work with the 3 remaining institutions that had not completed literacy certification. We were given probationary stipulations per the direction of the commission. We are also, as we mentioned, as Director Sullivan brought to the commission last month or last meeting, we're starting to work on the administrative services credential standards review. But we're also looking at the reading literacy added authorization and the reading literacy leadership specialist. I can never get that one right. Credential. And we've started conversations with the Department of Education to see if we can connect some of the training that the reading coaches are getting to maybe the added authorization. So we're looking into that and having conversations with them about how we might be able to do that. We are really trying hard to get the initial institutional approval process into regulations and implementing a number of new laws that affect accreditation, in particularly now that local education agencies can offer a number of programs. So we're working on that to have those ready to go on Jan 1. And we are going to update our program completer surveys. We are developing a PK3 survey for those candidates that are coming out of those programs and updating the other ones to address the literacy standards. On the next slide, we do want to mention the RDI TPA work that is high on our priority list, and particularly we're meeting with DREA as the educator quality branch to talk about low pass rates and how we can incorporate that into the accreditation system explicitly. And you'll see a number of agenda items coming forward to you in the next few meetings. And so all of the things related to that, how to be clear about embedding performance assessment and those kinds of things, and what kind of supports are we going to be able to give to those institutions with low pass rates. And then finally, a number of things that we're talking about in terms of enhancing the efficiency and effectiveness of the accreditation system. So again, onerousness is always something that we're trying to streamline, try to figure out how can we get at the same thing without asking for as much documentation. So we're looking at things like how do we lighten the load for institutions with strong programs year after year? What criteria would that be? Things like that. Updating our preconditions, they need significant cleanup, and we're trying to bring them forward to you very soon. updating the common standards and particularly the TPE matrix that everybody loves to hate, which we understand. So we are thinking about that and trying to figure out how we can make that load lighter, particularly now that we have TPAs that are updated. Some of the TPEs. So with that, we're happy to answer.
We will now open up for public comment. If there are members of the public that would like to make a comment, please notify the meeting moderator by submitting a request card or by clicking on the raise hand icon participating star 9 if participating by phone. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Recording secretary, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
The public comment period for this item is now closed. Do commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? Mr. Davis.
Good morning.
Morning.
My favorite crew of folks.
We'd like you to.
Appreciate being your liaison. And just in case folks here around the table haven't come to a COA meeting, they are entertaining, they are interesting, they are fast paced, but they're very detailed. And I want to emphasize that there's a lot of work that's done at the committee meetings, and there's a lot of fact checking. There's a lot of empathy given to LEAs and institutions that come before the COA. And I think that we have compassionate staff here at the commission, and we're able to communicate out there in the field that people need to do XYZ thing to meet a requirement, but also this is how you communicate to the human involved in the process. So it's not such a mechanical, rubric-based something. There is that level of human kindness infused there, and this group of people. I've never met such passionate people about accreditation because, again, I'm a geek for accreditation process, but I don't feel like I'm going to fall asleep at a meeting. There's always laughter. There's always something interesting stated. And then there's always, from the institution side, there's always some interesting nuance that is brought to light. For example, our school nursing program in LA Unified, some of the institutions that are directly looking at the needs in the Central Valleys or the rural areas of California, those thoughtful questions often come up in those conversations. And I want to say kudos to the work that you all did.
Thank you, Commissioner King.
Any other commissioners? More, Student Liaison Morrison.
I would just like to highlight, so you use completer survey results in your data for accreditation. Have you ever thought about using non-completer data? Non-completion, just because attrition in a whole could be an outcome that could be measured.
Yeah, so a couple of things on that. We do have, thank goodness, we've got a new data that is looking at a variety of data for us. But also institutions are required to have their own continuous improvement system. And I would say oftentimes that is part of what they have, if not almost always, part of their continuous improvement plan. They're looking at course surveys done at the end of each course. So while candidates are in process. So there's a variety, but if you have suggestions for us, we're happy to talk. Absolutely.
Any other Commissioner Torres?
I appreciate the report that you've provided, and I just want to acknowledge the work of the commission on its work on reviewing the 520 some programs that were submitted for review to meet the needs of SB 488, since that's a big focus of California, including that of the Department of Education on literacy. So I want to acknowledge and thank you for the detail you've provided in there about what it actually took to conduct all of those hundreds of reviews of programs. So for that.
Any other commissioners? Chair, did you want to?
I do. I want to thank
Ms. Hickey and Ms. Gutierrez and co-chairs McKee and Dr. Fraley for your work, and please extend our gratitude to the committee as well. And in this season of gratitude, as chair, I have the honor of making some remarks upon this being the last time you will be presenting to the commission, Dr. Fraley. So Dr. Fraley was first appointed from the alternate pool by the executive director in 2014 to fill in for an unanticipated vacancy. He then was appointed by the commission for his first full term in 2017 and again in 2021. Remarkably, Dr. Fraley has served as one of the two COA co-chairs since 2017. That's amazing service. We, and it's the collective we, believe that you are the longest serving COA co-chair. Even though the COA has a policy that co-chairs not serve more than 2 terms, year after year, his peers on the COA voted to suspend their own policy manual and re-elect Dr. Fraley to serve as their co-chair from higher education. Most of his tenure, he was director of music education at Chapman University. To the COA, he brought his experience as a professor, a musician, and a conductor. All skills he used in keeping the COA as a focused and cohesive group. I could just see this. He recently moved over to California Baptist University as a professor of music education and is now beginning a new chapter in semi-retirement. Dr. Fraley's contributions to the Commission's accreditation system over the years are significant. He helped the COA usher in the revised accreditation system after the strengthening and streamlining effort that took place from 2015 and 2017, and helped the staff, institutions, and BIR members adjust components of the new system with new standards, an annual data system and data dashboards, new evidence requirements, and changing site visit requirements. Dr. Fraley also served as a TPA assessor, and his counsel was often sought for his understanding of and experience with performance assessment. The Commission has been very fortunate to have Dr. Fraley on the COA, also during a time when California is seeing a renewal in the arts and arts education. His support in getting the new single subject dance and theater credential programs up and running has been appreciated. During his tenure on the COA, Dr. Fraley helped the COA issue hundreds of accreditation decisions and improved an unknown number of new programs. He led the COA through the pandemic and through some very, very challenging accreditation reviews and decisions. Dr. Fraley has never wavered during those hard decisions, remaining committed to ensuring both accountability and support. Through it all, he has been deeply thoughtful and encouraging, all the while ensuring a strong sense of fidelity to the standards and to the general mission and goals of the Commission. Dr. Fraley has often served as a much-needed comic relief, usually musically oriented. I'm going to have to go back and look at some of those. On behalf of all of us at the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, I would like to thank Dr. Fraley for his many, many years of contributions, leadership on the COA, and to his commitment to the current and future educators of the state. And I wish you very well in your semi-retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. I did not expect all in, but thank you so much for those. I really do appreciate it. And I also want to thank Cheryl for your opening comments. And if I could say to the Commission, this is my swan song, my ninth time before you. It has been a highlight of what I have done in my career, working with such a fantastic group of staff and fellow COA members. The personnel changes, but the mission never does. And it's been consistent through all the years. And they're always dedicated. They are insightful. They are communicative. We have great fun during the meetings. We make difficult decisions. And hanging after the meetings is a lot of fun too. But it has been really one of the joys of my life, and I will certainly miss it. I will miss interacting with all of you and all of those who came before you. Education being such a small world as it is, I imagine that at some point our paths will cross again, that we'll have some opportunity to interact and connect. And I look forward to other opportunities, perhaps down the road where we can see each other once again. So again, thank you so much. I really do appreciate the comments, and thank you to all of you for your trust in me in all those years. So thank you.
Very much. This is an information item. action is required. Sorry. Hi, Heidi.
Hi, Dave.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes, thank you. Dr. Fraley, I'm not feeling well, and that was one of my deepest regrets about not being there in person today. When I saw that you would be on the agenda, I wanted to say goodbye and thank you in person. As a former liaison to the COA, I really enjoyed our meetings together, watching you conduct the COA meetings and our conversations about computer fashion and scarves and what have you. And I was like, what scarf am I going to wear to say goodbye? So anyway, I regret that I'm not there in person, but I do want to thank you for all of your service, all of your commitment, and bringing such a unique and inspiring flair to COA meetings and your disciplined mind as well. So I'll miss you, and I do hope our paths cross again. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the kind words. I do remember those discussions about computer covers and scarves, and your excuse for today. I totally understand that. And so we'll say it's so long, because we'll see each other definitely. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And just Ellie, one more comment. You know, I'm gonna miss saying goodbye to you as chair and then hello to you again as chair in subsequent meetings, because every time we have a vote at the COA, I'm reporting here to this body and I'm like, yeah, well, we're gonna get a new chair soon, and then you're the new chair.
All right. Thank you.
Hopefully it happens again. Change your mind.
Thank you, Mr. Fraley. Congratulations on your retirement. Mr. Ricky, thank you. Ms. Hickey, appreciate you doing this as well. And Ms. Gutierrez, and also Ms. Michelle Bernardo, I know who's in the background doing this work as well. So thank you all. This is an action item. At this point in time, I think everyone is hungry and we're gonna go out to lunch. Be back 30 minutes suffice? Or do we want to do 1 o'clock?
Do you get 45 to 12:45?
Hopefully 12:45, because we know people might stroll in a little bit late. Let's do 45 minutes. We'll see you at 12:45. Thank you, everyone. Item is 2E. Annual report card on California teacher preparation programs for the academic year 2023-2024. This item is being presented by Jack Boss and Fifi Lau. Information item. The boss, will you please begin?
Good afternoon, commissioners. Item 2E is the annual report card on California teacher preparation programs for the academic year 23-24. I will begin by providing you the background information on the Title II reporting, and then follow up with the data findings from the report. The report is mandated by federal law under Title II of the 1998 Higher Education Act. The Higher Education Act legislation was reauthorized in August 2008, and sections 205 to 208 call for accountability for teacher preparation programs, specifically on the types of programs offered and data on program effectiveness. There are 3 major reports developed for the annual Title II reporting cycle. Institution reports, also known as the Institution and Program Report Cards, the IPRC, a consolidated state report, also known as the State Report Card, the SRC, and a compiled national report, also called the Secretary's Report. Institutions that offer a teacher preparation program are required to report and submit an IPRC. Teacher preparation programs submit their IPRCs to the U.S. Department of Education system annually by April 30th. After the IPRCs have been certified by the deadline, time is allocated for states to submit a consolidated report, the SRC, annually to the U.S. Department of Education by October 31st. Then the Secretary's report is usually published the following April. This is the 25th state report that California has submitted to the U.S. Department of Education. As previously mentioned, the Title II requires submission of the IPRC from institutions that are approved for an initial teaching credential preparation program during the reporting year. Initial teaching preparation programs include the preliminary or intern multiple subject, single subject, or education specialist program. The report does not include designated subjects teaching and any of the services programs. Only candidates who are earning their initial teaching credential will be reported. Title II does not require reporting on candidates who are adding authorizations or earning subsequent credentials. Since this is an annual data collection, only candidates earning a new teaching credential are reported every year. There are 3 types of Title II reports available for teacher preparation programs to report on. Traditional route, which is normally focused on the student teaching program. Alternative IHE based, which is the university intern program. Alternative not a IHE based route, which is the district intern program. And for the rest of this presentation, we will refer to it as the alternative LEA based route. IHEs with an intern program are required to submit 2 separate reports. One for the traditional route, and the second for the alternative IHE route. District intern programs only submit 1 report, which will be the alternative LEA-based report. In this presentation, we highlight key findings in the 23-24 report, such as the slight increase of total enrollment from the prior 22-23 year. Both the alternative LEA-based and the alternative IHE-based route had an increase, while there was a more slight increase in the traditional route. More than half of total candidates identified themselves as non-white. The trend has continued to show a steady increase in diversity of candidate enrollment. Higher percentage of males enrolled in alternative programs versus the traditional program. That data have been consistent. A higher percentage of teachers prepared in SPED followed the alternative routes. More than 3/5 of teachers held a social sciences academic major, and assessment rates varied by route and segment. All the data elements reported by the teacher preparation programs are displayed in the Commission's Title II dashboards. The 2023-24 data file is available in the appendix for quick data access and transparency. Let's take a look at some of the more granular data available on the dashboards. At the development of the data, I want to mention that for the following selected finding presentation slides, data presented can be found in the agenda item and the Commission's Title II dashboard pages. The agenda item and table number, including the link to the specific dashboard page, are available at the bottom of each slide. Since most of the data visualizations in this presentation are pulled directly from the Title II dashboards, you can refer to the figure number here and here. Find the data on the specific dashboard page. To access the Title II dashboards, you can click the main Title II webpage link on page 3 of the agenda item, and then click to expand the dashboards and reports section that will display the dashboard URL. Let's begin with our data findings on how many institutions submitted a report. On agenda item page 4, table 3, and also on the presentation slide, data show that there was a total of 158 reports submitted by 99 institutions for the academic year. Out of the 158 reports, there were 81 traditional program reports, 59 alternative IHE-based reports, and 18 alternative LEA-based district intern reports submitted. Now let's take a look at clinical experience, which is defined in the Title II as a series of supervised field experiences, including student teaching with PK-12 students that occur as a sequence integral part of the preparation program prior to the candidate becoming the teacher of record. The curriculum policies of each state and its institutions will identify coursework that is clinical and non-clinical. On page 8 of the agenda item, table 5B, and on the right panel of the presentation slide, we combine clock hours for both prior to student teaching and for student teaching. We can see that 100% of institutions for the 23-24 year met the state's mandated 600 hours of clinical experience. Moving to the left panel of the presentation slide, when we separate prior student teaching hours and student teaching hours, data show that in 2023-24 for student teaching hours, there were 40 institutions that reported 600 to 699 hours, and that 5 reported 700 and more hours. For prior student teaching, it shows that 67 institutions, or 89% of institutions, reported less than 200 hours. Gender distribution of total enrollment is available on page 8, table 6A of the agenda item and on the left panel of the presentation slide. Starting in 2018-19, Title II began collecting the number of total enrollment, of which a subset will be number of program completers. When looking at gender distribution by program route in 2023-24, in the traditional program, candidates reported as 72% female, 26% male, and 1.6% not reported or other gender. In alternative programs, we can see that there was a slightly higher percentage of males, about 29% for the IHE-based route, and again, about 29% for the LEA-based route. Table 6A and the right panel of the presentation slide displays race ethnicity distribution of the total enrollment, including the subset of program completers. In 2023-24, the proportion of total enrollment for Hispanic Latino of any race in all routes continues to increase. Candidates identified as Hispanic Latino of any race made up just under 40% of the total enrollment, while 33% identified as white, about another 8% identified as Asian, 5% as African American, around 1% as American Indian or Alaskan Native, less than 1% for Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, another 5% identifying as 2 or more races, and 8% not reporting their race or ethnicity. Also on the presentation slide, you can see the distribution of gender and race ethnicity for the program completers on the right side. When grouping American Indian or Alaska Native, African Americans, Asians, Hispanic Latino, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander and 2 or more races categories as non-white, this is the blue bar. Data show that the total enrollment trend in all program routes continues to increase from about 49% in 2019-20 to 59% in 2023-24, a 10 percentage point difference in 5 years. Similarly, the subset of non-white program completers have increased from about 47% in 2019-20 to 59% in 2023-24, a 12.1 percentage point difference. Additional trend data, such as the demographics by segment, starts back on page 10, table 6C. Next, the 5-year trend of total enrollment is available on page 13, table 6G agenda item, and also on the presentation slide. Focusing between the prior 2022-23 year and the most recent 23-24 year, there was a slight increase of 0.3% in total enrollment. When looking at the data by program route, there was a prior year increase in the traditional alternative LEA-based route and in the alternative IHE-based route. Specifically, there was about a 0.3% change in traditional, a 5% change in the alternative IHE-based route, and a 20% change in the alternative LEA-based route between 2022-23 and 2023-24. Next, let's take a look at the distribution of program completers by subject area, starting on agenda item page 17 to 7A, and on the left panel of the presentation slide. When looking at the traditional route, nearly half of the program completers, 48.2%, were prepared in elementary education. For the alternative IHE-based route, about 1/3 of program completers were prepared in elementary education, and almost another third in special education, slightly less. Whereas alternative LEA-based, the majority of the program completers were prepared in special education. On agenda item page 18 and on the right panel of the presentation slide, data show the distribution of program completers by academic major. About 3/5 of program completers were prepared in social sciences in both the traditional and alternative routes. The next largest preparation group that makes up around 11% is the other academic major. Other includes non-teaching majors, combined majors, non-subject specific majors, and advanced degrees. Next, the assessment information is available starting on page 35 of the agenda item. Table 14A on page 38 specifically provides the statewide pass rates for program completers by program route 2023-24 academic year. The presentation slide displays the 5-year statewide pass rate trend for all exam types for each candidate group. When looking at program completer statewide pass rates, there was a slight decrease in 2023-24 EPA and an increase for CBEST, CSET, and RECA in all program routes from the prior year. Aside from the selected findings presented, the Title II report includes additional information such as credential requirements, standards and criteria, additional information about the alternative routes, program performance, how to determine and assist low-performing institutions to meet the Commission standards of quality and effectiveness. Additional information on teacher shortage and how the state has addressed it so far, and other statewide improvement efforts to improve the quality of the teaching workforce are also provided in the report. These information are included in the SRC for submission to the U.S. Department of Education. Before we do questions, I would just like to remark, Commissioner Francois, you reached out to me yesterday about an error on the item. There was a little bit of a GPA error, and I sent you the corrected GPA statistics there. The corrected average minimum GPA for CSU programs upon entry was 2.6. The average upon exit was 2.96. The corrected average for UC programs on entry and exit was 3. Finally, the corrected averages for the private independent institutions was 2.73, while the average exit was 2.96. I want to thank all the commissioners for their time, and I would like to open up the floor to any questions. Thank you.
We will now open for public comment. If there are members of the public that would like to make a comment, please notify the meeting moderator by submitting a request card or by clicking on the raise hand icon if participating through Zoom, or pressing *9 if participating by phone. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Recording secretary, are there any public comments?
I don't have any public comments.
Thank you. The public comment period for this item is now closed. Do commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? Francois, Commissioner Pavry.
All right. So I have a question and a comment. It has to do with the completion and the completer rates. And that is clearly an area we need to work on. So if you would go back to around slide 8 or 9.
Okay.
I don't think we're comparing apples to apples here, right? I mean, we're looking at data for 2023-24 enrollees. The completers are people who completed, so who started and who enrolled in their programs earlier. Is that right?
No, they also started in 23-24, so they're part of the enrollment. The program completers are a subset of that enrollment that was reported.
Okay, so I'm still not following completely. So is of the who would have completed the program, would have finished all their coursework, but likely would have maybe a performance assessment or something, or a RECA pending, am I right?
For program completion?
Yeah. How are you defining program completion? Maybe let's see.
That would be when the candidates program requirements. So RECA really depends. It is a credential requirement, but some institutions may consider it as a program requirement. But program completer basically are those who finish all of their coursework and clinical.
So would I think this is a perfect example here of let's just say this is disaggregated by gender, but even then you have 18,790 females enrolled in 23-24 in a traditional program, but only 6,682 females completing. When did those 6,682 start? Because they wouldn't start and complete their program typically in the same year.
Typically, yes, but for this Title II report, we're considering this as a one-year program. So what Title II is asking is that you're reporting all candidates for that reporting year. And of those candidates who are being reported, how many have completed?
Fifi, I'm wondering if there's one point of clarification, if, correct me if I'm right or wrong here. Does enrolled mean they began enrollment in 23 and 24? Not that they continued enrollment. So do we know anything about those who didn't complete the prior year but are likely still enrolled? Are they not counted in Title II?
No, I don't think that information is included in the Title II reporting.
And the Title II report is framed by federal requirements for reporting. Right. So it has its limitations.
Totally does. I mean, when it's especially, it's a dramatic difference when presented here. And I mean, clearly, even in reading the report, the completion rates by different pathways and by different race, ethnicity, I would love to see more disaggregation there so we can actually tackle that, because this is something that I think we, as IHEs and as ed prep programs need to address.
We provide a little bit more detailed information or data through our accreditation data dashboards that may provide you the institutions a better sense, I think, of their candidates rather than through the Title II. Title II again is limited by the federal requirement. Yeah.
Mr. Francois.
I think you might have just answered the question. Understanding persistence rates, even if they don't position that year, I think is really important. It also helps us to identify why if they were temporary reasons why they didn't finish. And then what are the supports that we can provide for them so that they can persist even after that first year of enrollment in the program. I have like also a clarifying question is, and it's related to persistence. Isn't it in fact that programs have to offer a program where candidates can finish their program within a year? Is that correct?
I don't believe that that's still a requirement. I think that's been changed in statute. I think it's been moved to 2 years.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. Let me look it up.
And other than that, thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner Howard. I just want to thank you for the item. I mean, it was so comprehensive. It was so well done. I really appreciate and thank you for checking the data on some of the that were, I feel like these are all public records, so I want to make sure that we're all represented. And you're always so gracious.
Mr. Torres.
Also, I concur. Thank you so much for the report. Being a new commissioner, I'm allowed to ask a naive question. And then I have a couple of wonderings. So the naive question is, why is this a 23-24 report that we're getting at the end of 25?
That's the year that the patient is asking us.
On Department of Education cycles.
Well, and based on, there's so many different, it's lagging. It has always been lagging. And this question comes up every time it's reported. You'll find that I think our teacher supply report similarly is lagging. And we're hoping that we can make some improvements in our data collection ourselves to, more current at some point. But right now we've got the lagging reports.
And I fully respect that, because I can't say that every report of the Department of Education is exactly on. And so the other wondering is looking at table 6G on 14 of the PDF. It looks like overall total enrollment over 5 years has gone down 0.1%. But it seems like either there's a spike in 2021, a dramatic spike of 3,600 enrollees, and then a steep drop off. one can possibly think that maybe the drop off, maybe COVID had something to do with the drop off or anything. I was just curious if there is anything in the reports that indicate either if that's an outlier increase in enrollment or if it was an artificial decrease because of some reasons. And I don't expect an answer, just kind of a wondering.
COVID did skew a lot of these data for a period of time when schools were closed and people were home. Behaviors changed.
I was just thinking though that the 2019-20 enrollment was 36,000. It's pre-COVID. So it just seemed like there was a spike during COVID. And then after COVID kind of subsided, there was a decrease. So
2021 and 2022, 21-2 and 2020, 21, 21, 22. Those 2 years are COVID. They're COVID years and very hard to have any kind of trends that capture those years, and it looks normal. And it is 2 years now. The 1 year time limit for completion, completability has been changed to 2.
Francois, sorry.
Yes, I have a wondering too, and I've brought this up a couple of times. I am consistently disappointed in lack of movement of African-American Black folks going into enrolling and complete. Like it's one of the subsets that we never see. And yet, on the retention side, through the efforts of National Board, through some of the other research collaboratives across the state, we're seeing Black teachers staying in the profession longer. And I'm just kind of wondering what we can learn from those to, on this enrollment and completion issue that we have. I'm just putting it out there in the universe again, so that we don't forget it. And I actually think from last year, it's gone down.
I also just, if I may, Chairman, I would just say that our kind of continuing frustration with how limited our view is in looking at these data, it raises more questions than answers for us almost every year. Part of the impetus for creating our new Division of Research Evaluation and Assessment. Kristen Calderon is working with Juliet Wallleitner, and they are, I think they are intent on finding a better way with Aaron Sullivan and the team as well, better way of counting more accurately in the moment, based on a whole variety of things they're dreaming up. Juliet's coming to the table. See, are you coming to the table or were you leaving the room? Okay.
Down.
So
I was just going to say that, as you've all highlighted, the Title II report is something that we are required to do by the federal government, but we always see all kinds of challenges with how the data are presented when it's reported on. All of the data presented in here are self-reported by institutions. This is just the aggregate of all of that. And so we are realizing our need, as Executive Director Sandy said, for better data collection systems within the commission. And so we are working right now on developing a system that would track candidates from the time they enter a program all the way through, ideally, into the workforce. So we can really see how many are entering, how many are persisting, where are we potentially losing candidates?
Just a normative time to completion.
Yes, exactly. And
how many are part-time and for how long?
And so that then we can think more strategically about what supports might we build into our systems to ensure that all of those who enter do make it all the way through and into the profession. Regarding your point about more Black educators, I'm hopeful about the student teacher stipend. Potentially could help with bringing more people in.
Julia,
understanding.
You just said you're hopeful about what?
Student teacher stipend?
Yes, absolutely.
Enabling people maybe to complete in the same year they enroll.
Yes, that too. Also as a recruitment strategy.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder, is there a plan to also track the authorizations, the added authorizations?
Not yet, but we could potentially build that in.
I think that would also be really, because while we're counting their first credential,
right,
the second or third impacts
Yes, yes. And once we have them into our systems and yeah.
Commissioner Francois, did you have something?
I don't think that it's for this body necessarily. I just think that a deeper understanding of the root cause of this kind of pervasive challenge that we have, it would be helpful for me. And I'm in that field, so I know a little bit, but I would love. I always ask for a study session, Dawn. Led by folks that do this work, right? Like Travis, this is what he does, and he works with national boards too, and he studies Black education. I feel like it's important for us as a commission not only to understand the data, but understand the root causes of why that data appears the way it is.
Simmons?
This is a required report that we have to turn in, correct? I really want to know the extra data that some of the commissioners have asked about, but it seems somebody told me that it is better to not give them more information than they ask for. So while I would like to know that, I wouldn't want it in a report given to somebody who could use it against us.
Yeah, I would imagine, Commissioner, that we will continue to provide the required data for a Title II report until it's no longer required. But we have been for some time, and I'm looking at Aaron Sullivan now, creating and working on an accreditation data system that includes some of the information that we're after. We're working through DREA, our new Division of Research Evaluation and Assessment, on, what are the best ways in which we can track and understand what enrollment looks like, matriculation into teaching, attrition all along that pipeline, just being able to understand what happens to people, who want to come into teaching, and what roadblocks did they find, and did they go around them or did they go away? And those are things that I would expect to be part of the Commission on Teacher Credentialing dashboard system and available for all of our institutions and our legislature and the public to understand. Ideally, we could get to some root cause analysis for teacher shortage and teacher turnover while we're at it. But until we have a pretty good handle on the data, it's hard to identify where the hardest issues are, much less how to unpack them and focus our policy. But it's a goal, and we are on our way with the team that we brought in to get there. I don't see that becoming the Title II report. I see it becoming the Commission on Teacher Credentialing report.
Other commissioners? Fine. This is an information item, not required. With that said, I just would like to say thank you for this report. I know it's a lot of work behind the scenes, stuff that we probably don't even understand, but just appreciate you putting this report together. Even though this is a federal mandate, this brings a lot of attention to areas that I know we need to improve on, and we need to really focus and find out the root cause. And so we can do better as a commission, really bring in educators into our workforce. But thank you both, Mr. Boss and Ms. Lau. Appreciate you being here today, and thank you for providing this information. That said, having no additional items, I adjourn the Educator Preparation Committee.
Until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow.
Oh, no, you're wrong. That was yours. It's the certification committee tomorrow. That's right. There you go.
I'll be here.
I will now recess the general session. Members of the commission will go into closed session. The general session will reconvene at 8:30 tomorrow morning.